Hey folks, welcome to another Cards Up, All Cards Up exposed study session from Ignition. Um, Thank you for coming. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe and comment with even more snarky comments than you already make. Um, so guys, I made a custom solve this weekend because I was studying a certain spot, and what stood out to me is how different it is from a GTO wizard solve in a similar position. And so I thought we could start by me showing you the difference between these two spots. And once I go through this and show this to you guys, please ask questions along the way if you have any. I'm going to hand it over to Mike. So, and Mike is going to go through a cards up hand history for us from Ignition. So essentially, this is really just about showing how drastically different our ranges become and our strategy becomes when ranges are different. So first I'll show you the GTO wizard solve. So when we raise here in cutoff, we're raising 28% of hands. Now, in theory, that means that button does have a calling range, but again, in theory, it's very, very condensed. It's very small. It's only 2% of hands that they're flatting. And my thought is that a lot of us are building strats around what we see in GTO Wizard, and those strategies often call for checking out of position because we're up against a very condensed range, and generally that's what strategy calls for when you're up against a very condensed range. He only has, so if we look at range versus range here, do it after cutoff. Imposition only has 23 combos that they're flatting versus our 337. So what does that result in? It results in us playing actually in this position against all flops. If we were to look at an aggregate report, we would see that we're checking 70% of the time against all flops. And again, it's really driven by the fact that imposition's range is super condensed. It's a very small flatting range. All right, now that's GTO Wizard. Let's compare and contrast that to a custom solve I made. So this is a custom solve, and the difference is that we made impositions. This is imposition player in this custom solve, and we gave them what we thought was a loose passive player's flatting range, which instead of 23 combos is actually 178 combos. So this is a dramatic difference in the amount of combos. But I think we see this a lot. I think we see this as kind of a loose passive calling range that we see often in game. And that's against what is still a pretty condensed range for us out of position, which is 142 combos. And how does that affect strategy? Well, if we go to here, we look, all of a sudden, instead of checking range, we're betting nearly all of our range. We're betting here, you can see out of position where my cursor is. We're just checking 4% of range. And, it's really because he has so much that misses. In this particular solve, he, which is 10-9-2, and against this particular imposition player, where we anticipated he was going to flat a tremendous amount of suited kings and the majority of his suited aces, this really misses. And this kind of goes counter to what we've seen in the GTO Wizard solves. So this just isn't to say that GTO Wizard is wrong or this one's right or vice versa. It's just to say that really when we're looking at solves, we're looking at two factors that are important: SPR and range versus range. And in and when we change that to what is a more realistic range for a certain player class, it dramatically changes our strat. So I think that's the end of my TED talk. You guys have any questions about this stuff? Is there someone in chat have a question? Oh, Skate was getting his lunch. Okay,
Yep.
that's it. I'm gonna stop sharing. And I'm going to pass it on to our hero, Mike.
Can you hear me?
I can.
All right. Yeah, it just took me a while to get all this up here. Just make sure I have it. Have a filter on for just any raise. I think we're good to go, I think. This was a recent session, but it's filtered for there's a raise pre-flop. Make sure we can share. All right, how about now? See the replayer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right.
Can you make the replayer just a little bit bigger, or
Yeah, let's see here.
does the window change size? I don't know. If not, it's fine. Perfect. Thank you, sir.
All right, so yeah, so we'll go in order and just see what in theory what we should be doing, and we want to see our cards. Oh, this is a bad session because it's so recent. I don't have cards available.
Oh, no worries.
Surprised I haven't downloaded that one. So we got to go back. Sorry, guys.
All right. Skate, what are you having for lunch? Because I'm a little jealous.
Steak and eggs.
I'm way jelly.
I know.
How do you know he's eating?
He said so in chat.
Oh,
Skate's living large, steak and eggs, breakfast / lunch. Well, I guess this is breakfast because you're on a restaurant schedule, right?
Yep, it is past 12. Yep.
Yeah. How often are you playing poker these days? Live poker?
Actually, to be honest, none.
Really?
Yeah, I might do maybe a few tournaments here and there, but as far as cash, I am, I just don't. I don't want to go back to playing 1-2. So, I might play, but waiting for a table at 2-5. That's about it.
Man, you do it better than me. I right now I live in Austin, so we've got these card houses, right? Which aren't casinos, they're like private clubs, supposedly. And I'm terrified of starting 1-2. So I'm playing all these daily tournaments just so I can get used to live poker. So I can get used to counting chips, get used to being around humans when I'm playing poker, which is new for me.
That's pretty cool. That's a great state to be in, if you're gonna play poker. Weren't you in New York before?
No, just Texas. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean it's just so different playing live.
Yeah,
It's,
it's
there's so much
slower.
more to keep track of.
Yeah, it's slower, but you just sometimes you how can I say, like, gotta keep yourself in check by not put too much thought into um everybody's action. Maybe, take into account maybe the people you should be paying attention to versus the people you should, things like that.
Yeah. I'll tell one quick story and then I'll pass it back to Mike because he looks like he's ready. So I was like, I was I used to playing tournaments online, so your big blinds all the time. So after I go through the blinds or after I'm in a pot, I'm always counting my cards, doing the division, counting my chips, doing the division, figuring out what my big blinds are. And then I was looking around after a couple days of playing live poker, and I'm like, why is no one else counting their chips? Are they so incredibly good at keeping count? Pot after pot with big blinds changing, et cetera, et cetera. They don't need to. I was talking to my friend of mine who plays a lot of live poker. He's like, dude, you're playing a daily in a poker club in Austin. People just don't care. They're just not paying attention. They're just there to have fun. They don't want to do math. I was like, oh, okay.
True. Also, on that note, in live poker, especially for dealers after, seeing the chip height and color for so long, you can get a sense of what a certain stack has.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see where you get kind of an intuitive sense of what the stack is.
Yep. Well, yeah. Especially, I'm talking about cash. Yep. Mostly.
All right, Mike. Well, thank you for entertaining my story. I'll pass it back to you, sir.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we'll just go through and I'll go first. We'll just go down the list with our participants here. I'll go first. We just a refresher. We kind of look at the exposed cards and in theory, kind of talk through what should happen. Like for example, in this hand here, it should fold over to the button. The button should raise, and Jack 10 off is going to defend. In theory, is what should happen, and looks like, and that they folded their Jack 10 off, which I think in most, at least in the wizard charts, Jack 10 off is a pure defend.
I mean, I can understand if folding Jack 10 off. I hate that hand, but it's a mistake.
Anybody have any thoughts on Jack 10 off to a button raise?
No, I think I am calling. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an error.
I would imagine it mixes in some 3-bets, which we're going to see here. So this is to a 2.5 open from the button.
Are people agreeing with that button raise size?
Yeah, that's what I use, 2.5.
Okay. I use that early on, usually on the button a little bit higher, but
Like 3x.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty common.
we see that a lot. I mean, I see that a lot. I think, are you increasing that size in order to increase your frequency of stealing the blinds?
I am betting way wide on the button, yes, but I also have good hands. I mean, I just saw some time ago on GTO that GTO Wizard that's what they do.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they do. Yeah, it increases as it gets closer to the button, increasing your frequency to be able to steal the blinds. I think that's a fine strategy.
Yeah, I think it's pretty common, and even some of the pros out there also do that as well. Here is a GTO raise. If you look at here, the early position raises are small, and they increase at the cutoff, and then the button increases to 2.5. I know I've seen some other charts that start at 2, get up into 2.3, go to 2.5 here, and then go to 3 on the button. I know Brad Wilson in their stable, they use a 3x open quite a bit on the button.
I remember watching a live play and explain with Brad Wilson, and he had 2 fish in the blinds, and he upped it even more. He went to like 4.5, 5.
Yeah, I see that a lot too. What you can exploit by raising even bigger to the fish in the blinds.
Oh yeah, I see like raising any other spot like before 2.5, and then once you get to the button, raise higher because you're gonna overfold kind of thing.
But I think this Jack 10 fold here is pretty egregiously tight.
Agreed. I think you can mix jack nine off, but this is too tight.
Question about the bigger sizing is when the fish in the blinds, is that because they're gonna pay too much with marginal hands? Or because they're gonna fold too much to the larger size?
So, Brad was, if you would ask him very pointed strategy questions, he's a great coach. But he wasn't totally open about why. What I recall, because I was quite curious as to why he was doing it. And if I recall, it appeared to me that he was driven mostly by the fact that the recreationals are going to be more inelastic with their calling range, right? They're not gonna change the shape of the calling range to a 4 big blind RFI, which we've seen in GTA Wizard you should do dramatically.
Right.
And also he wants to play a bigger pot in position versus fish.
Okay.
Larry.
Yeah.
You're up.
Okay, all right. So cut off hijack, low jack, and clearly hero is opening his ace queen.
I hope this doesn't filter just for hero hands. I put in just any raise pre-flop. I hope it's not just hero, but let's keep going.
And then button, I think is mixing here. I think it's mixing 3-bet fold. I think this is a 3-bet fold hand.
I think you're right. I think king nine may be a little, it might be a sliver of 3-betting, but mostly folding probably.
I would 3-bet that against the right opponent.
Any other thoughts on the king nine suited on the button to a low jack raise?
I was surprised to see him fold.
So this guy folded jack 10 off to a button RFI, so he's definitely a tighter player.
I don't know if that was the same. Was that
Oh.
the same player?
Yeah, good
Yeah,
point.
there's your king nine.
Yeah.
Okay. And Dean. Dean, you're up.
Feel free to type it in chat too, Dean, if you want. I can convey it. If Mike doesn't have the chat up, I can convey it to him.
I do. I see chat.
Okay.
Yeah, so he says hero raises and should take it. Oh, we had it. Okay, yeah. So that would be if hero had it, if ace nine suited raise on the button is ace six big blind. I think that might be a defend. We do get a little
So-
different action, but if ace nine open raises RFIs, does ace six defend?
The
I
ace
think
six
so.
defense is it's an almost never call and a sliver of raise. It's a mostly fold
Oh, you're
against
right.
the button. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the 5 and the 5 and the 4 are active and the 6 and the 3 have slivers.
As we all pause and gasp at Scotty's mastery of pre-flop ranges,
Of this one thing.
which you've
Okay,
definitely put time into. I mean, that's kind of like a outlier ace 6 off there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, notice that ace six off is mostly fold.
Yeah.
And you get back
Sliver of
into
raises.
ace five.
Yeah.
That's a good call. I have a feeling this filter is just for heroes action, so I'll adjust that here on our next round. But we get a limp.
Was that a limp or was that a post?
It was a
I
limp.
think it was a post.
Oh, was it?
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
you're
a
right. It
post.
is a post. It's
Yeah,
a
it's a
post.
post.
Yep. So now what does ace nine do? Anything special?
I would do exactly what you did.
Raised to 4.5.
Yeah. How about
Yep.
Dean? This is Dean's hand.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, Dean.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna bet that Dean agrees with the ISO, and then there should be a fold around, and it does. Skate,
Yeah.
your hand.
All right, let's open tens, king 10. Could, I'm pretty sure it has some amount of 3-bets from the button, but mostly Actually, I'm not sure. And then and then we have ace king on the big blinds. So let's yeah, we're gonna so maybe tens folds and king 10 might fold as well. I don't know, but I know that all I know is that ace king is gonna raise.
Yeah, so you're right. Tens are going to open. And when tens open, what's king 10 on the button doing, Skate?
Probably here, maybe calling.
Okay, we'll take a look at it. It's a big open now. Now we see it's a big open. King 10 suited on the button probably has some calling and is probably highly three bet. It's pretty
Yeah,
high.
I'd mix it.
I'm fascinated by what this should do at 4 big blinds. At 2.5, it's exactly that, 50-50, but I wonder what it does at 4.
Yeah,
I'll
now
go look.
you're right. I think this might
Oh, I don't
change.
have, and I don't have 4. Somebody's gonna have to look up 4. I really want to know this.
I'll be able to show it. How about ace
Yeah.
8, Skate? What's ace 8 doing to this raise?
Okay, ace 8, suited or unsuited?
It's unsuited. You see it?
Oh, okay, you mean this ace 8. Okay, yeah, it's folding.
Yeah, good call. All right, so the king 10, we're gonna find out what it should do to the 4x. My guess, let's pretend this guy has a full stack, the 2 10s, because he's a broken stack at 60.
Hmm.
But if he has 100 big blinds, which is what the solver will solve for, I think the king 10 is gonna now start folding some, but also continue to 3-bet this at a fairly decent clip.
Yeah, I think this is late position. Well, I cheated. I pulled it up. I can show it later if you want, but,
All right, so we'll look. But they
Yeah.
call, which is
So-
probably what most of the pool is gonna do.
so according to the wizard at a 4 big blind RFI, he's mixing this combo.
Mixing what?
He is mixing, call and a 3-bet to 10.
Okay, so no folds.
Hijack?
King 10's too good. King 9, so King 9 goes away because King 9 is there at 2.5. Oh no, he's got a little folding. Oh no, he's got no calling now.
Yeah, the one I'm looking at is a little different. I'm looking at, Chippy V, and this is
Oh,
with
okay,
really bad break, which is
Yeah.
what,
Yeah,
Mike
what
is
you're
looking at
what
10%.
you're looking at right now on screen is with rake.
and
So
Larry, the one you're looking at, are there any folds at all at Chippy V?
with what combo?
King 10 suited on the button versus the hijacks 4x.
No, at Chippy V it mixes.
Okay, great.
All right, so now we get to here. Skate, what's your ace king doing?
I'm not sure what it's doing to the size, but I'm guessing it's gonna go somewhere around like 15, maybe like 13, 15. Oh no, yeah, there's another one here. You're right, Scotty, so we should go higher. Probably account for this one. So 14 plus another 4, maybe like around 18, maybe 19. So we saw earlier that here on the button against hijack, we're doing mostly raising and just raising, right? We're not calling.
I would say this is pure 3-bet. Pure 3-bet.
Here on the button, yeah.
Yeah, so the heuristic to just have in mind is if you have if you mix calls and raises against the hijack, when the button comes in and calls, does that incentivize you to call more or raise more? That's your question first, just in general. Forget about your combo and everything else. When you have callers in the middle, does that incentivize you to call more or raise more?
Oh yeah, I would say raise more for sure.
I agree. Yep. Because the middle guy tends to be capped.
Can I ask another
Mhm.
wrinkle here to the group?
Yeah.
So the tens is on a broken stack.
Yeah.
That kind of, I wonder if that incentivizes us to shove at some frequency with this combo.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I didn't know how inefficient that would be. I'm wondering even if we start getting into an SPR now where shoving, even if they had a full stack, might be in the solver. But certainly now that he has a broken stack, I think shoving is a potentially profitable and good.
Yeah,
Here's the one thing though about it. So against the 60, it's a totally reasonable shove because you're putting in 20 and that's a third of your stack and all the things we know about that. But you isolate yourself against the king 10, against the buttons, he folds everything that you dominate. He folds everything except for the very rare case when he has you crushed. So you only make 4 big blinds from him, but you lose 100 when he plays second hand low.
well, we've got some limit poker lingo.
Yeah, that's a no limit
Um,
thing. That is a no limit thing. It's a thing. It existed.
All right,
Uh,
Scotty says 20. I think that's pretty standard in the Jonathan Little world, right? Three
Yeah.
times the original plus the dead money plus an extra unit for being in the blinds. I think solver will probably go a little less than 20. Probably, I'm thinking 16-ish, 16.
so 17 in the chippy V.
Let's see.
It might
I
go
think
bigger.
Jonathan Little suggests more than 3 times if you're out of position, like 4 times plus the blinds.
Yep. Exactly. It's exactly that number, but the order he went to it is it's generally you go 3 times the last raise to make it pot plus all the other money in the pot, and then out of position, add another, however, another size of the bet, which is 4x. It's just the way he says it, but it's that number that you just said.
So Scotty, I like your statement about how with this very good hand, we aren't as incentivized to fold out button. I could see that. I think maybe that I am too focused on eliminating multi-way.
Yeah.
And I think that play you're talking about, I would feel more comfortable making the aces and kings here, queens probably. Maybe I should add ace king suited to that. In that I do want to actually incentivize
Yeah.
button to come along. Cause that's why you're
And I don't mean-
saying, that's why you prefer a raise here as opposed to a shove because it's hand circuit.
Yeah, but
But-
it's not that I want to incentivize him to come along. It's that I go so far that I isolate myself only to his very best hands. He folds ace queen suited there to a jam.
So you're only
know.
isolating yourself to his traps.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'm not saying he has very many traps there. But you've already charged him the right amount by raising the right amount. And then the idea of saying, let's jam, if both of them were on 60, yeah, jam away.
Yeah, like the way I think about it is that you cannot really incentivize Button to come along when you still have tens yet to act because he could either call, raise, or all in whatever, and that's gonna incentivize in and of itself what Button does.
True. And I think sometimes with the ace king combos in a situation like this, it's just too easy to fall back on a jam. Because it's just an easy play. And when you're multi-tabling, it's like, okay, well, I'm done now. But
I like what Fish Cake says, and Solver agrees. He prefers to jam with ace king off, but happier to play ace king suited post flop with a 16 to 18 big blind. This would be a 3-bet.
yeah, I think we said solver too, right? I
Yeah,
think
and
that makes
here
sense.
is that solver based on full stacks. Now that short stack, that broken stack, I think probably makes your jams better in
Yeah.
EV wise. But yeah, so there you go. So skate. Now you're back to you on your tens.
Yeah, I mean,
Ugh.
since they're so short, I mean, they went 4x. I don't think they're folding. I'm not them, but I'm gonna assume. Let me pull up my my magic ball. I think they're probably gonna jam.
Yeah, the magic ball definitely. I think we actually spoiled it. They do jam here, but what do you think
Yeah.
10 should do? What would solver do, assuming full stacks?
Hmm. They might not be getting the odds to call. I maybe I don't know. Maybe you need like jacks or queens plus to even think about continuing in this configuration. Maybe I don't know. Maybe fold.
Yeah, my opinion, I think the 10s are going to mix call and fold.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I think it's,
I
I
think
think it's a
I think it's
shove fold.
call. I thought tens there are a pure call,
Your
and
call.
sometimes we shouldn't. That's what that's what I think the solver did. With tens there.
So the ultimate result of this hand is they did shove, and then I think ace king has that easy call. So let's take a look at what 10 should do to that bet.
And this is in 4x land.
And this is in 4x land.
Oh, I was so wrong. I could not have been more wrong.
Tens are
Yay.
almost a pure fold there. Now, again,
Yeah.
this is solver land. Do we change in exploitative land versus pool?
They're not. Uh,
No, because I mean, I think it's worse I think worse, but I think the tens call is worse against population. Because look at the big blinds bluffs, and you're not gonna find all those bluffs in, everybody's doing this with the ace king suited, both population does it and solver does it. But there's gonna be a bunch of bluffs that are just not there.
Yep, I'm with you.
Yeah, I agree with fish cakes.
Should be a fold.
Yeah,
Because if you're gonna set mine, you no longer have the odds.
no. And you're not even closing the action. You don't expect it. But king 10 but the button can still shove.
Yeah, and also I think population in the big blind here, when I think population defers to just calling with the large majority of the range.
Yep,
I don't think population has a lot of squeeze bluffs here, which
Yep.
significantly reduces the value of your tens
Yeah, probably like by a shit ton.
by a shit ton.
yeah,
Yep. Yeah, because the first thing I think about is what is the bottom, excuse me, the bottom opening range for pairs from, 3-bet, whatever they did, a 4-bet from the big blind.
Mike, can you give us the run out? I'm curious how you did in that hand.
Oh, let's see. So it went, he jammed all right, I mean, we're not folding, right?
No, we're not folding.
And
Poor play rewarded. Poker's not dead.
Leanne, this is your hand.
Okay, I don't know, I liked the last one better, it was more interesting, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and raise that ace 10 and then fold everything else.
yep, I agree. I think that's what should happen. And it does. Yeah, that's an easy one. Fish cakes, did you want to come in? This will be yours, fish cakes.
1 second. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay, cool. Okay, fold. How many players are we? 7 players. Probably like mix ace king, but you can just open it, I think. Okay, king 5, sorry, but you can just open it. Ace 10, if king 5 folds, ace 10 can open all 3-bet, and then it should just be those two, a hero and ace 10 in the hand.
Okay, yeah, I think so. I think you're right. I think king 5 might be a pure open in a low jack. Or it might be a little bit of fold.
Yeah.
And then-
it's about 75% in a low jack.
You could
close
probably
enough to fold.
just make it pure.
And now that he's open, what does ace 10 do?
You probably should just 3-bet this, but you might call. Like do 7.5 probably.
I agree. I know I would three bet it. I don't know if there's any, I don't think you're ever folding it, right? There's no folding ace 10 suited to a
No,
low.
definitely not. Definitely not. And I guess if you really wanted to get cheeky, you could four bet bluff this, but otherwise just fold. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you called it. I think you nailed it. Let's go back to 2.5 size. It was, where did it come from? Low jack, right?
Yeah, I think so.
The low jack. Yep, about 75, 80, 80%. And they raise, and then it was the high jack, ace 10 suited, almost pure. Little sliver of folding, that surprised me, but yeah, that's a pure three bet.
Yeah, definitely. Just pure.
And then once it gets back to the low jack, I don't think we're four bet bluffing king five, are we? No.
Probably not, but yeah, I think you could against some people.
All right. So it looks like, hey, so just a quick poll, the filter looks like it has hero like involved in all these hands. Should we just keep it going, or I didn't mean for that filter. I just filtered for raise. Maybe it's just taking by default hero's hands, but
I just appreciate you, sharing your hands. So whatever you're more comfortable with.
I mean,
I don't mind.
I'll be happy to keep. I didn't know if that offends anybody or anything. I'll be happy
No,
to
not
keep.
at all.
All right, so back up to the top of the list for me, king,
Oh,
queen.
throw me in, throw me in,
Oh,
throw me in,
Scott.
coach.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm only here for a minute.
After I made the list. Go ahead, Scotty.
There we go. King, queen, does a standard raise there. Eights have, no, king, queen does a 4.5 raise. The eights having $1 in there. I think with the $1 in there, call the kings, three bet and everybody folds. The eights may come along, but they should fold here most of the time. So 4.5, eights call the 4.5. I'm not saying that they should. Because it's this weird thing of he's already got one big blind in there, but it's inflated. It's kind of like the big blind. Like he's playing a big blind, but he's in position. But it's a bigger bet. So I don't think the eights fold there. But then the kings stomp on them.
I'm with you.
And the size is 4.5, 4.5, comes to the kings, 13.5, 17.5, 20, 21.5 plus 1, 22.5. But since they're kings and you don't mind action, how about 20?
I'm with you the whole way.
Yeah.
Any dissenting opinions on any of that?
I think in a live game with sort of passive players after the eights, I would always call with that.
With the kings, you would
No,
call
with
with the
the
kings?
eights, with the eights.
Oh, you would call the eights.
With-
Okay.
Because of the passive, because in a live game, people tend to be a little bit passive. There's three more people
Okay.
to go to potentially raise, but
Oh, yeah. The pre-flop with the kings. Yes, before the
Oh,
kings raise. But would you call
right,
the
the
kings
eight,
three bet?
yeah.
No, I think it's a good call from the eights.
So what happened is king, queen folded.
Okay. Then eights should do a standard raise to 2.5 and they should get three bet by the kings. And now against the kings, three bet, I think the eights can take a flop. They probably do some folding.
Yeah, by the way, I don't think king queen off is too bad folding there.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. King, queen in the pre, yeah, it's
Off.
got some folds. Yeah, king, queen, it's got
Yeah.
some folds, low jack -1. It's not pure, but it's,
What do you think about suited? Do you think suited is
oh, suited
great?
is pure. You never fold. Never, ever.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's
I
an
think
okay
you're right.
fold.
I think now, like with that poster, I think king, queen would get folded like more often on a higher frequency.
Interesting, because I would raise it more often. Given the more dead money with a random hand. I don't know if it's right, but I would do it.
Yeah, I'm conflicted on that. I'm not sure what would be.
Yeah.
Where it would fall.
Well, here's the good argument to look at. You on your side is since you're going to raise it to port 4.5, then you look at a four big blind open range and see does low jack -1 open king queen for four big blinds because that's what you're risking. The fact that there's more money in there is nice, but still that's what you're risking. So it probably does push it down. I know it pushes it up for me though.
What pushes it down for me is having another player in position.
Yeah.
That
Good point.
that might defend wider, so to speak.
Yeah.
So
But
we
his
got this,
wider defense, but against his wider defenses, king queen still does pretty good against his wider defense range. You know, you don't have to win everything pre-flop, although out of position sucks. So I'm giving both sides. I'm not disagreeing with you.
yeah. Anybody else? So we got to the kings, Scotty. What size?
11. Standard 11. 13. Perfectly fine. Maybe he'll come along.
What would you do?
With the eights,
Yeah.
you're gonna no four bets against population. That's suicide. And call a quarter of the time. And against the 13, because the 13 is bigger, fold. That would push me to I'd be mixing folds and calls against 10s and 11s. So when you go to 13, I'll go, okay, I'll just fold this one.
Yeah,
I'll have a,
I think that's where I stand too. I think I'd probably fold to this size. I'm curious. I wonder why I made it 13. I wonder if there was something. He was a new player, a poster. Maybe that's why I sized up, just figuring they were fishier. Because he was
thinking they'd be inelastic.
yeah.
Because you could assume that their range is wider than normal here because they already had a big blind in.
That's my
But
guess.
they also had the opportunity with the bottom of their range to just limp. They were already in there. They could check and sometimes
Yeah.
get to see the flop. So that might cut off the bottom of their range. So, okay, he calls. And I would
Got
think that the other thing on your side though, uh, psychologically, I think people don't like to limp. Don't people like to post, raise, and fold.
Yeah, really. All right, you got the flop.
All right. So the out of position, the idea that when you're out of position, you do a lot of checking, that is still true, but it goes down in a 3-bet pot. So I am not in a lot of checking mode, but I have some checks. So now look at the board. Ignore my hand for a second. Queen Jack 7. No locked up equity. So, I can bet big when I bet big. 2 Broadway cards. That's good for me. And this board hits him, hard. All of his Broadway has a pair or a draw on this board. So with that in mind, I want to bet, and I want to bet on the bigger side in a 3-bet pot, which is instead of betting 9, I want to bet 13. I do not mind if if a straight draw folds. I do not mind if an ace folds, and I expect to get a lot of calls from them and get value. So yeah, I want to bet 13, 14, 15 into this.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like that.
I don't object. I don't object to the 8, you know.
And now the 8s.
They should just fold.
They do.
Yeah.
What do you think?
But I certainly don't want to bet so small that 8s have some reason to call.
Anything we want to look at on this one?
The only thing I'm thinking about is should the eights be calling some if there's only one overcard to that pair versus two.
Yeah, I
That's a
was
thing.
curious if eight should even call here. Like, I think there's gonna be some calling to this, to the B33. We'll take a look.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
where are the folds gonna come from if it's not from the low pocket pairs?
Where were they in the cutoff?
Yeah, cut off. Yeah, I think some of the lower pocket pairs will fold.
Let's see if there's probably not gonna be, there's a little bit of calling there. And we had a queen, jack, 7 rainbow. So yeah, checking 40%. Kings like a pure bet here, and look at the big sizes. Look at the overbets.
Interesting.
I did not see overbets coming.
So
Yeah,
I wonder if. So he has queens, he has jacks, he has queen jack. Can we look at range versus range here real quick? Kind of understand if we can see what's driving this. So. We dominate across the entire range. We have a dramatic range advantage. If you go to equity buckets, we also have a nut advantage, right? Yeah, we've got a nut and range advantage. And I would imagine that's what's driving this.
because he's bet away his queens in this example.
So in this type configuration, he doesn't, yeah, exactly. In this
Yeah,
type configuration, he has a occasional traps with aces, but otherwise. Kings, queens and jack. Kings
Jacks,
and
he still
queens are
has
gone.
jacks.
Yeah, kings and queens are gone. So, yeah, I think this massive nut and range advantage is driving this.
And then our logic. So what our logic predicted on the kings, you still have the small bets though. They exist, right? So your
Yep.
bet size was perfectly fine. Yeah, great. So you're just not wrong on that. All the bet sizes are right.
Yeah. Now, do the eights get to call to a B33? I think they do, but nope, they're gone. They're gone. Eights are gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
All these low under pairs that don't interact with the queen and the jack are gone, even tens.
Yeah. And
I
I
was
would
think-
suggest that those bluffs that you see with the eights, you should not do.
Yeah.
I would
agree.
suggest don't find those
No
because the small blind doesn't have the bluffs needed for those to interact.
I was thinking geometric 45, 45, 45. Like 45, B45, B45, 45. But solver's like, no. You've got these massive range and nut advantage just over there.
Right.
Okay. All right. Next hand back to the top. Looks like king 9 in the cutoff for me is, gosh, I think I'm raising that almost all the time. I think the charts might start folding. It might be the cuspy hand, I think.
Yeah, it's cuspy.
And ace-6 in the cutoff, we saw that it's fold to a button, so it's definitely a fold to the cutoff. And they do. Look at that. Look at these disciplined players. So yeah, just to confirm, cutoff range, open
Yeah.
range, looks
Yeah,
like
we
9
do have
off. Oh, yeah.
offsuit nines, right? I mean, oh no, we don't.
Threshold hand. Threshold hand.
Okay.
All right, Larry.
Alright, our hero's got a good hand and I think he should raise it.
And then what?
And I think that once he raises it, he should win the hand.
I agree. Yeah. Another boring one. Dean. Watching the chat, Dean, if you want to get in there. Yeah, king nine raise and take it. Let's see if that's what happens. It looks like it should be a pretty easy one. Yep. Skate.
This big blind takes it.
So fold to the small blind, you're saying? Or A7 should fold?
Oh, okay. Oh, okay, I see it. Yeah, blind versus blind. Now here, yeah, I didn't see the A7. Here, A7 is 3x always. Any ace, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, versus the big.
And then what about ace deuce?
Ace deuce, I think it is. It's the worst of the wheel ace and it's offsuit. I imagine it's gonna do. It's call.
So I know this one pretty well. I know that ace deuce in the big blind BVB, ace deuce and ace three get like 3-bet, like almost all of it. At least
Mhm.
like in my strategy, I put ace deuce and ace three into the 3-bet bluffing sort of range.
Okay.
Very doubtful this is what happens. In fact, they just call. But
Yeah, I'm not
just,
good at these spots. Yeah, I'm
just
probably influenced by a. Sorry.
I'll
You
show
can
you
see
this.
why they make good 3-bets in this configuration because it's got a good blocker.
So there's your
And-
ace 7. That's, yep, all your aces pretty much from the small blind skate. So you're good there, raising to 3x. So here is the big blind defense strategy. And yeah, notice
I
that
have
ace
to borrow your
deuce
phone for a
here.
second. Yeah, so your boarding pass. Okay.
And
Okay, yeah.
is that, I'll mute Scotty just for a moment. Is that Scotty? Is that you
Oh,
at the?
yeah, that's probably me. I'm at the airport. Yeah, I'll mute me.
Yeah.
Yes. So notice that. That's just, I wanted to show you that skate just so you see it. So here's your flop. What are we doing now, skate? It's on you. It's on the hero. It's on small blind with ace 7, middle pair.
Okay, middle pair is good enough to bet here. The big blind can have. Yeah, I don't see them having many kings. I think they're gonna, you know, 3-bet those post flop, pre-flop rather. So, I'm not sure. You know, again, I'm not great at these spots. Maybe I was influenced by seeing the hands, but here, what I think may happen is they're just gonna bet, you know, standard, you know, 3, and big blind's gonna fold.
Now think about what the small blind strategy should be globally here. Like, what do you do a lot when you're out of position?
Yes, you're gonna do a lot of checking, but in a, yeah, it's just a single raise pot. So yeah, you're gonna do a lot of checking, but since we were the aggressor, we wanna continue with the aggression.
Yeah, I think you're on it. I think you can bet or check. Scotty says to check and call more frequently than to bet. I choose to bet. I chose a small size. What about ace deuce now? Fold, right? I'm just don't want to lead you, but
Yeah, without a spade fold.
they do fold. So let's take a look at that strategy. So big blind calls, and we get that king 7. I think it was two-tone, right? King 7, what was it? King 7, 3. 7, 3, small blind. I think you're gonna just see a ton of checking. 60% of checking across the range. Ace 7 splits it almost 50-50. So yeah, I think you nailed it, skate. Leanne. Oh, did you get another easy one?
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna bet those aces. Well, shoot. Yeah, that's it. Fold after
Yeah.
that.
That looks like that's, oh, we got a little something.
Oh, okay. I will re-raise to about to about, maybe 7.
Yeah, what do you think of, what do you think of queen 8 in the hijack? Queen 8 suited in the hijack. What do you think of that?
Well, I'm a bit conservative. I'd have probably folded that, to be honest, but
I think that one might get in there. Queen 8 and hijack,
It's not a might, it's full frequency.
full frequency. Yep.
Full frequency. Good for them for finding it. Bad for them for running up against aces.
Yeah, so aces, as we all know, will be a pure 3-bet there. And then now it comes back to the queen 8, Leanne.
well, if I raised it to begin with, I would fold it now.
Yeah, good call. I don't think there's any 4-bet bluff in queen 8 suited, right?
Right.
Fish cakes.
Okay, cool. That's a nice hand. I'll open bet. And then big blind will probably just call.
I think you're right. I don't think, oh, we do have a button flat here. Should that change sevens in any way?
I think you still just call sevens.
I think you're right. And now you get to see a flop.
Aces are an interesting spot here.
Okay, let's think. So this depends a lot on what I know about button. Like if they're unknown, or if they're like how wide I've seen them before. Like I've seen them play a hand like this.
Here's what we know about him at this point: 25 hands, and there's his VPI. There's VPIP and raise first in.
Okay, so it's pretty active. Okay, I'd probably just c-bet this like small then, like 33.
Any thought about checking?
I just want to get like just start putting money in. I'm real. Like people are not going to bluff enough themselves. We just want to put money in with a nice hand. We're not like blocking any king or anything like that. So, which is going to be what's calling us.
Yeah. So
What do you
stepping out of kind of theory and where you might check more often. Here, you're just going to bet pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If it's like, I guess this recreational. I just want to put money in. So
Just to add
Besides,
something here, if I were,
Somebody
ahead,
could
Leanne.
easily have a king that you'd be targeting too.
yeah, exactly.
Also, I think we can, we have a reason to believe fish cakes specifically, I'm sorry, fish cakes. I agree with fish cakes. We have a reason to believe that the button is specifically not going to be bluffing enough in position. His stat is 4% raise, 52% call. I mean, 52% VPIP with a 4% raise.
Yeah, it just looks really passive.
He's not he's so passive, he's not gonna make the move for you. So
What do
you
you-
have to do it.
Let me point this one out: the aggression factor.
Oh,
yeah.
is that,
I think
There's
that's,
25 hands though. It's too
yeah,
small.
it's very small sample
Yeah.
size for.
is,
I
is
would
6 up?
I would just go for the one stat we can look at right now, which is VPIP. I mean, even still, we can't really look at it like. But,
No,
Yeah.
but when
Yeah.
it gets that far out of line at 52-4, I think even with 25 hands, you can,
yeah.
you can assume tendencies. An
One
aggression
thing
factor
to
of
add
6,
here
is
is that if I
really high?
recall, recalling our multi-way work, and just, I think generally these king high flops, if we're gonna have c-bets, king high flops are the most common.
Yeah, I think so
Mhm.
too.
Yep. I wound up checking, or the hero, I guess, hero here does
I
check.
think, yeah, I think checking is like it's not bad.
And it
Let's-
does check through. Now, how about sevens now? Anything change?
They should just be checking.
I'm with you.
There's no reason to bet. Aces with a flush draw. You can probably. It's tough now because like I feel like big blind, if they do have flushes, they're gonna bet a lot on this turn. Like they will probe, but I think we can probably just bet for like the similar reasons before. Like people are just not gonna like put enough money in with their own hands, but they will still likely overcall, especially the button. So I would probably just bet.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm with you. Let's see if no, I was being tricky for some reason. I'm with you. I think we should be betting here.
One more reason to vote for the bet. This is hand specific, not range specific, which is a diamond comes and we get no money from the slow played king or from ace nine. The diamond does, the diamond comes and they have it, the diamond, if they have a diamond that's willing to call on the river, they'll call our bet with their diamond draw. And then they'll call the diamond on the river. But when the
Mhm.
diamond comes, we get no, that we have no more, it shuts off our value.
Yeah, we
Hmm.
have the ability to cooler a lot.
Yeah, I think I would just
Diamonds
bet
here.
4 big blinds here.
Yeah,
Um,
we got tricky and it checked through again.
sevens check again. No reason to bet. Really. Okay.
Oh, another bet.
That's really weird. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, and we're kind
Unless
of
he's like super trying to target the button specifically, but I don't think that works. Yeah.
So this is an interesting spot. Do we get raises here blocking the nut flush?
I don't think
And
you
are
should. I think you
raises
just
value
call.
raises? Or are they value? Sorry, go ahead.
I think you can just call. I don't think there's any need to raise aces. You could turn it into a bluff, but I just don't see the reason why.
It's hard, yeah, on this texture. If you raise, it's hard to know what worse calls you raise.
You could get called by a king that played it really weird, sure.
Yeah,
But the problem is if in its bluff capacity, you're never going to bluff off the hand you need to. You're never going to bluff somebody off a nine with the reasonable sizes you're going to do.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just don't, I think that Fish Kicks is right. It's hard
Yeah.
to see how an imposition value raise here is profitable long-term on this texture.
And
What if you
also, I don't think you have value right now.
Well, I would argue, you might be right. I think that there is a sizing tell here. I think trips and flushes are generally gonna use a bigger size. Solver might
Okay.
use a size because
Right.
everyone's capped.
Right.
But I
Okay.
think generally face up, people are gonna go a little bit bigger with trips or flush.
What if you had ace of diamonds 10, ace of diamonds jack?
I think that I think against this sizing, my opinion is against this sizing, you now have the potential to bluff. Maybe not, maybe because you would have had to check turn. I think with those hands, I think I would have constructed a 2-street bluff.
You wouldn't have gotten here checking all the way through.
Not with the case, like with ace 10, with the ace of diamonds, I think I would have constructed a 2-street bluff. Maybe that's a little ambitious multi-way. But after it checks through, I think that I would do that.
Ace of diamonds queen. You would still you would have been bluffing those hands from the start.
Yeah, ace of diamonds queens is a little bit more nebulous. It can win its showdown more, but I don't, yeah, ace of diamonds queens, I don't think, maybe I don't think it might be too high to construct a 2-street bluff here with the case ace of diamonds.
Call and win, maybe gave up some value in the hand.
Maybe got 4 big blinds, maybe got the 3.6 big blinds, the only way you were going to get them.
Yeah. Scotty.
Fold. King 10 raise, 5-5 defend by calling.
Okay, we get to see a flop.
He should check range. We should be checking back some kings sometimes, not this one. This one's high enough in our range to just be a pure bet here.
Would
And the
anybody have
side,
bet that 8-6 suited there on the cutoff?
No, but there is a 9-7 there on the cutoff.
Okay.
There's a,
Hey, I
in,
think-
in the charts. So you could, you could stretch to 8-6. I'm sorry, Mike, you were about to say something?
I probably was about to say the same thing you were about to say.
Okay, which is Jonathan Little says that you get to stretch your opening ranges, not when you get more folds behind, but when you have fewer 3-bets behind. When you know that your 8-6 suited is going to see the flop, you could stretch this 8-6 suited. However, I believe that rather than stretch your range all the way to the 8-6 suited, when you want to stretch, you take the 9-7 that is a 12.5% raise and an 87% fold, and you turn that into a 50% raise or a 100% raise. That's stretch by, but your first stretch is take all the partials and make them totals before you go to another pip. You gotta have a real reason to go to a pip. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I was with you. I was going to say the same thing in regards to if you have a really tight button, really tight blinds, I think you can expand your range for sure.
Right.
I think
But
A6
even,
would fall into that.
but again, that expansion, you're doing a different expansion. You're doing they're so tight that I get folds. Jonathan Little's expansion is they just aren't 3-betting enough. And so I get to see flops.
Yeah, like
Your
you
exp-
take all of that into consideration.
Right. And with your expansion, if these guys are not defending their blinds, 8-6 suited and well less than that, go the hell 8-5 suited and 9-8 offsuit if you're getting folds all the time. There's the defense, and I would bet this king, and I would bet it. So I'm gonna look at the board now and ignore that I have a king. There's a flush draw on the board, so in Matt Affleck's world, that pushes our sizing down. In my world, it pushes our sizing up. The straight draw that's possible, 3-5, he can have. Ace-5 and ace-3, he can have. He doesn't have many kings. So I think I push this from, sort of a 1.3 to about a 2. I don't think I'm gonna go 2/3 of the pot. But I think I'm gonna go closer to half pot with those things. I'm gonna push it up a little bit.
Yeah. Plus what, 5s through 9s.
Yeah.
Include those,
They can call.
include the
Yeah,
heart
they can call.
draws.
Yeah, they can call once.
Yep.
So,
Here he's
yeah.
gonna check this one.
Right, and so I'm gonna claim with this, I'm gonna claim that because you're raising every suited king on the button. Are you raising king deuce suited? You
Yes,
can, yeah, you don't, on the button, you can fold king deuce. Why am I not remembering this? Anyway, but you've got all these kings that you raise, so I would turn your king 5, king 6. King 7, I would make your low kings your checkbacks. King 10 is just big enough. You get called by king 9. You dominate some of his kings.
Yep.
Yeah, but you checked it back, that's fine. And if you would bet, I think that he should call with his 5s that have a heart and fold the 5s without a heart.
check, check.
Check. 7. 5s can turn themselves into a bluff, sort of a bluff with a little protection, but they have enough showdown. The better. Okay, but he does it. Now you're never folding ever. I don't see a compelling enough reason to raise here. But the 7. If he bets again, I'm definitely not raising. Now I'm just calling, 100% call. And if he checks, betting small, thin value, and easy call. No, not even a thought of folding and never a thought of raising.
Okay, so turned out pretty good. Let's check out some of those theories. So button raise king 10, right?
Yep.
Pocket 5 is going to be an easy call.
Right. And you notice in this chart, the button does not raise the king deuce and king 3 in your chart.
Oh, button.
Oh, no, it did. You were jumped off it. Yeah, it does. Okay, good. Thank you.
All right, so fives were an easy call. We know that, right? And we got this flop of king, deuce, four. Oh, I didn't even look at the suits. What were suits are they? King, deuce, four, club, heart, heart. King, deuce, four. Big blind's gonna check range or two. The two and the four might actually, yeah. So the two and the four brings in some small percentage of docking.
Yeah,
I know, I'm pretty sure that when it goes king, low, low, that's going to increase checking frequencies, probably because we start to see this start to happen where they have some donks. But I, I feel like king, low, low is going to get more checked more often with your king type hands, with your top pair type hands, than if it was king, say, king eight, deuce, or something like that. Anyway, here
okay.
we go. On the button now with our king 10 suited.
Yep, you got a fair amount of checking, and it's perfectly happy with a 50%. And it's got some overs you can find. Look at that. Look at that overbet. Not overbet, sorry, that's 75.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I was a little surprised at how much checking there is. I didn't think there would be quite this much checking with the king 10, because I was with
Yeah.
you. I thought, certainly versus, how about versus the pool? Probably makes c betting better, right?
I don't know what's driving the checking frequency so much.
We can look at range versus range to try to sort it. If we go back to big blind. If you go back to big blinds, here. I think it might be the same, but just in case, what about, what does, nut advantage, if you do the drop down, what does it show us for best hands? Yeah, I don't think there's anything that clarifies why. Here, to me at least, maybe somebody else has the insight.
So it did go check, check. Now let's check out to see now that you have fives and it went check, check. And we get the seven of diamonds. I hate it does that. Seven of diamonds. Do our fives get to start coming in a little bit? Tiny, tiny bit, but not really. Look at when it goes check, check. Look at all their overbets. That pink.
Can you,
They just
I bet
get
that's their
three
flush
of
draws.
them.
Can you filter for flush draws? Are we looking at just at flush draws making this play? So if you go, yeah, right there.
Where's the flush draws?
It should be. So
Oh,
here we go. Combo, yeah, combo draws, flush draw nuts. And then we can look at the totals. And so, yeah, 31% of the time it's going loco here. Very polarized strat, I guess.
E2. That's crazy. I definitely don't find those very often.
I don't either, but it's good to see. And, after villain checks in this pretty loose configuration, it kind of makes sense. I mean, I get, obviously solver saying it generates enough folds to be profitable.
Yeah. And then now that he went this line, he bet 50. Our king 10 suited, Scotty, you said it was kind of a pure call, which you're right, pure call. And then we get another 7. I can't remember the suit. It was not a heart.
It was not a heart. It was a 7 of not hearts.
And the fives, now that they bet there, they continue to bet, which they did, and they chose the decent size. They went B75.
Yeah.
And then our king 10, Scotty, you said should be pure call. I agree. Yeah, pure call. So good. Well played, Scotty.
Yeah. And I don't even love, by the way, I don't love that king queen raise that you have. In the solver, there's a king queen raise. I
Oh,
don't love that raise. I think that I'm taking that same king queen for the same reason as, I mean, I'm calling that for the same reason as I called the king 10. And also the ace king. I'm not worried
I-
about getting cooler.
I
Yeah.
wonder if it's because you just, you have a significant, kicker advantage with this part of your range, top pair, and he has to
Well,
call
we-
off with a lot of lesser kickers.
Right. Well, we incentivized him. I mean, he can check a king on the flop, and then when it checks through, he has lots of kings in his range. And our king 10 doesn't beat all of them. So this makes total sense. But I also think that he bets a 7 there. And when the second set, so I think he bets bluffs. I think he bets kings that he didn't bet on the flop, and he bets his 7. That's what I think people do. So when the second 7 comes, I'm just not in the business of trying to get value from his kings.
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you mind
Especially-
going back and looking at what happens on the flop with that button? Because it looked like I saw some checks of king, queen, and king jack, and that shocked me, but maybe I didn't see it right.
Yeah, you did. You saw it checking pretty much across the whole range of kings.
Ace
Huh.
king has some checks.
Even ace king.
Huh. I just feel like those are premium hands that I would want to bet king, queen, and king jack, maybe check king 10 to protect my range, but
Yep. So here's the difference. They are 100% premium. And in the Jonathan Little world, the way we do these kings is you segment them. You go, these kings are the premium kings and I bet them. These kings are the marginal kings and I check them. But the solver just smooths that out across the whole range and checks some of all of them and bets some of all of them and lets the frequencies kind of increase as they get better. So
Yeah.
your simplification is great. It's the one Jonathan suggests. It makes total sense. Just the solver does something slightly
Hmm.
more complicated.
Yeah.
you look, Ace king
Leanne,
is checking.
Watch as the frequencies increase. So here's
Right.
king 3 suited. If you look at the lower right, and watch as we go up, of course, king 4 is 2 pair, king 5, king 6, king 7. See how the frequencies are kind of climbing? King 8.
yeah, I
king-
do see that, but it just seems like those high kings are such good hands.
Well, the solver agrees with you. That's why it's
Yeah.
betting them so often. It's just that in
Yeah.
solver land, 70% is often, and in
Yeah.
implementable land, 100% is often.
Yeah, I
If
guess
the
you want to have some pretty good hands in your checking range too, I guess.
Yeah, and I think having king 4, having king 5 in your checking range is good enough for good hands.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Right. Especially if you ever slow play your pocket kings. If you ever slow play them,
Yeah,
you're just fine.
All right, next hand.
Yeah.
Back to the top of the list, Mike. All right, ace jack. Where are we? 8-handed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ace jack would be a raise for me. And it would be I would fold it occasionally. If it was 9-handed, I would fold it at some frequency. If it folds, or if it raises, excuse me, then it should go all the way down to the big blind, who gets ace king off in the big blind to an early position raise. Is going to have a very decent amount of calling, but can also 3-bet. Let's see what happens. Ace jack folds. So now 8-7 has some frequency of raising. It's a small frequency of raising. A lot of people raise them almost pure, but the charts will tell you to fold it mostly. And
Yep.
they fold. And we get a limp. We get a limp from the cutoff. So that's going to make ace king in the big blind pretty easy ISO. I would make it probably 5 or 6 here. To one
Yep.
limp, I'd probably go 5. And I do. And they should fold. But they don't.
Yay.
Any thoughts to that, all that pre-flop stuff? Anything different, you guys?
No, I think the size was good. 5, they limped, then you go 5, and yeah, pretty standard.
Ace jack folding there is kind of normal, I suppose. Charts are gonna,
Ace
Yeah.
jack mixes there.
Yeah, it's a pure fold, 9-handed, 8-handed. I'm not sure. Yeah, Scotty said mixing. I guess mixing.
It mixes. It even, by the way, if you care, there's a sliver of raising, even 9-handed and under the gun. But You don't
Oh,
need to find that.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's majority. It's 90% fold.
All right, so we get to see a flop, and the flop sucks for ace king, but kind of sucks for a range too. I would probably typically I probably just continuation bet versus pool against somebody who's limping and calling. Although this particular flop is just kind of really crappy, so I'm not sure what I do, but typically I would probably just continuation bet a third, and I wound up checking in this one, and we get a half pot bet here, and theory probably says to call, and cards say to call, but I probably fold this. No, I do call. Okay.
Good for you.
And then we get to see a turn. Nothing great for me in my range. He gets top pair. He goes 75, and now I'm definitely folding. All right.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about post flop here? Would anybody do anything different? Would you see bet more often?
I think I think I would bet with ace queen and check with ace king. I think that, our best non-paired here, I think checking's fine.
Yeah.
But anything below best non-paired, I think I probably just
It's
bet.
funny, I know I'm supposed to check call with that ace king, 100%. But it just seems like whenever I do that, I end up just losing more because I have to fold on the turn almost always.
Yeah, I mean, you have a very valid argument. So this guy's capped, right? He's a limp caller. So this isn't a RFI 3-bet call. I mean, his range is a lot more capped than.
Yeah, but that flop totally hits his range, I would think.
And so I think a bet here is fine. Do we have, how many hands do we have on Dylan?
No, I wouldn't
27.
bet. I would check call. It just seems like I always end up having to fold on the turn, and I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay,
playing out
so
of
Leanne,
position
I've-
is not profitable ultimately, but isolating this hand is the only thing we can do.
So Leanne, I have a question. So I totally agree with both your thought, your memory, and your sentiment, because that's what I feel. But are you thinking here of saying that you want to do more check folding on the flop, or you're saying I want to do more betting on the flop? Which is
I'm
the
actually
thing you're
thinking, how do I turn this profitable? I don't want to check fold. That seems extremely nitty. I don't really
Right.
want to bet out either because I'm kind of a marginal mate, I guess. But check call, I always lose more money.
Right. So here's what
I'm
I
not quite
believe.
sure what to do.
Right. So you should not be sure. This is really hard. This is the really hard thing in poker, I think. Or a really hard thing. But here's where I think you do make money, but you just don't remember that you're making money. Which is when you bet this pot, you get folds a lot. They get nothing, you would bet, just continue your aggression, you're fine. Those hands don't stick in your memory super strong, and in those you win the 10 big blind pot. The hands where you checked and called and then you had to fold on the turn and they had it or they bluffed you, and you see them in review, those stick in your mind so much because they hurt so much, because you go, what if only I bet out? The ones you're forgetting is on the ones where you do one call and it checks down, or one call and you hit your ace, or all those ones where you check, called, and won. You don't just remember that you won, you've forgotten the extra bet that he put in. And that counts towards your win rate. So you don't win the hand more often, but you win more money from the check call line than you do from the bet fold, from when you bet and he folds.
Yeah, I guess it does happen. Check call and then check down and I win. I guess that happens sometimes too.
That happens. The other thing that happens is check call, you pick up a draw on the turn, you go check
Mhm.
call, and then on the river, they give up on their bluff. They go, he called twice, and you win with your draw that turns out to be that your ace king turns out to be marginally made. That
Yeah.
happens. And then you hit your ace or your king 12% of the time on the turn, and you have the best hand. And all those things happen when you add all those things together compared to all the others. It's profitable, but it hurts and it's hard. And you
Yep.
just, and the thing that I tell myself when I do it, because I hate it, is I go, the best players in the world check call here. And I go, okay,
Right, Larry.
and
Okay,
sometimes he does that without the jack on the turn. And you lose to his bluff, and it's terrible.
is it on me?
Yep.
I think 2-2s mix here. Generally, I think it's a profitable open if you are not getting 3-bet sufficiently. So against a passive table, I'm gonna open 2-2. Pretty high freak.
Does
But I
anybody
think
open
solver,
the ace five? Anybody opening ace five in the hijack though, even before that?
I don't.
Nope.
but I think solver mixes this. It's a low frequency open and solve.
It's about a quarter. It's 25%.
And then what, Larry?
So hero is an interesting spot. I think here I actually prefer a 3-bet with this region. Yeah, I think this is a 3-bet. I think this is a fine 3-bet. I would take this spot. I don't remember if solver mixes or if it mixes 3-bet folds, but we get a limp, so now now we're playing street poker. I think twos gets to overlimp, and I think hero now needs to ISO to like 6 bigs. And play in position.
Nice.
And I assume you're folding there. Okay, so back to
Yeah.
ace.
Well, I'm just not gonna speculate as to what his strat is.
No, yeah, true. That's true. Yeah, you're speculating on Fish's strat. Yeah.
So I think you get to, there is always, shout out to Joey. There's always risk of, set over set, especially with this. But I'm a sucker for a set mine, so I would call. Folding's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was pretty good. We agreed. Dean is gone, but Derek is here. Derek, did you
Hey,
want to?
Derek.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Roddy, you were saying?
I was saying, hi, Derek.
Hi there.
This one's on you, Derek.
Oh, it's my turn?
Yep.
Okay. Ace nine, I'm betting. Fours. Probably call in the button. I don't really 3-bet that much with fours. We're pretty deep, so definitely I think I can play them well enough post flop. 2-10 small blind, maybe I'm not gonna 3-bet. Ace 8, I kind of hate ace 8 off for 3-bet or 4-bet. So that's what I think is going to happen.
All right, so here we go. Yeah, ace nine is going to be a pure open skate, just so you know. All the suited aces in that position are going to open.
Yeah.
And then it gets to these fours. Derek, you said probably call, which I think you're just fine calling there. I think solver will say fold it at a pretty good frequency, but I think
I agree with that.
I
playing.
think you're
I'm
just fine
solver.
calling. They do call. 10-2 should be a pure fold, and then ace 8 to this action should be a pure fold. Let's see what they do. They call. So if we want to just kind of confirm some of this right here, this was low jack, one position past the low jack. So here's your ace 9. Here's your suited aces skate. Check these out. All the way up to ace 3. Oops. So you should be raising there.
Ace
And then
4-4 has a sliver of calling. Does it have any sliver of calling? No.
Yep, 4-4 does have that low frequency calling. And probably versus population is probably even better. Now, once you get to big blind, I'm almost certain ace eight's a pure fold. I mean, look at it, you're folding all the way up to ace jack.
Yep.
Yeah, so good call. Now you get to go multi-way here. Let's see. You called with ace eight in the big blind. What are you doing?
2 overcards.
Come a
All
little
the
closer to
way.
your mic if you can, Derek.
Pardon me?
Come a
2
little.
overcards.
closer
We
to
kind of
your mic if
hate
you're-
our life, so we can fold ace 8.
Or you would check, right? You're saying?
Yeah, check. Yeah. Ace 9. If we had a club, then maybe, but this looks pretty horrible. So we check. 4s, we want to start getting money in the pot, so we bet
What size would you choose?
75% of pot.
Because you're on the button, right? So this is going to be a flop that nails you, and you happen to nail it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They go pot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see pot. Let's get some money in there. Everyone else folds.
What about your gut shot here with ace eight?
You're gonna
That's why the
small
fours
pot
bet
size
small.
for a gut shot.
That's why the fours bet smaller is to put this, make it hard for the gut shot. It's easy for the gut shot to fold now.
For
I
pot
kind
size,
of
we're
agree with
not
Scotty
sticking
here.
around.
I think that I could totally understand your desire to get money in here, Derek. I would just say that, your hand, even though that, there's draws in this board, your hand is very powerful. I mean, your equity probably here multi-way is like above 75%. And so I think I would tend towards a smaller bet here, just because I have so much equity.
What would you bet, Larry?
I think I'd be 33.
Okay. See, usually I bet large and everyone calls me anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
Then you
that's
should bet
totally a
large.
player pool adjustment. Then you should definitely bet large. Yeah, if people are speculatively calling you, then definitely.
Yeah. So
It-
so my
If ace eight with the eight of hearts is willing to call 75%, you should bet 75%. If ace eight is willing to call 125%, you should bet 125%.
yeah.
And not worry about the times that someone has 7-7 and 6-8 already.
Oh, if I'm set or set it, I lose my stack.
Yeah, exactly.
That's totally fine.
Yep,
That's what I
yep.
sat down. I signed up for that. If
Yeah,
someone has
yeah.
a straight already.
Yep.
Good for them.
So they did fold. Your ace eight folded, which they should. I agree. And to your ace nine, Derek, what are you doing here?
It's a pure fold.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool.
So I want to give a short speech about this before we go on
Yeah.
that one, just go back, which is in the world that Derek lives, where the ace eight calls, the big bet is great. We all agree on that. We talked about that. In the world where the ace eight folds, this is what's good about the smaller bet. You say to yourself, I want to go to the flop. Thank you. You say to yourself, well, I want to bet bigger to get more value from the flush draw, or to get the flush draw to mistakenly fold. And the idea is when you bet big, you make it easy for ace eight and ace nine to play perfectly against you. When you get small, you make it hard for them to play perfectly against you. And yes, you make it easier for their flush draws, but they have lots more than flush draws. And what it's basically done is when you bet large, you've isolated yourself against the hands you don't want to be in with, which is the good combo draws. A flush draw with a 6. They stay, but everybody else folded. So your big bet charged that one guy more, but it got no money from everybody who was making a big mistake. Soliloquy over.
So is your player pools like that, or what are you guys doing?
I think your
suspect so.
player pool adjustments, Derek, are good. We just, when we're doing this exercise, it's like trying to kind of think theory wise and then adjust from there.
Sure.
And the other way around is fine. Let's start exploitatively and then also discuss what the theory is. Both are
Yep.
right. Yeah. But we like to get both in. So that was why I did the theory speech.
After Derek Escape.
All right, we could definitely, oh, so let's fold the ace five, open the ace jack, fold, and I'm assuming that the big blind is gonna call.
What should he do?
Should they?
Should they to the size?
I think we've seen that ace-6 offsuit a couple of times.
Yeah, the ace deuce, ace six, ace seven are among the worst there. Yeah, right? I mean, we're probably supposed to fold it and call the rest.
Yes, they should fold.
Yep.
Oh, they did. Look at that.
Nice.
Yep.
By a 50/3 player.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Leanne, you're up. You get all the easy ones, Leanne.
Okay. All right, fold, open. I'll bet about, maybe 5. That's what I'll bet, because there's already that one in there, I guess, a post or something.
Yep.
I like
yep,
5. I like
posted.
the bet sizing.
And then that's it. I win the pot, I think.
And that should take it, right? Oh, we got a limp now. Does that, now that we got a limp in front of you and you're here with ace jack, how does that change
Yeah,
anything?
that changes things, and he limped from, well, not exactly early middle position, I guess. I don't, do I call or raise? I think ace jack off. Ace jack suited, I would raise. Ace jack off might be bad enough that I should raise. Now I'm confused.
I go 4.
I go 6.
It's a bad enough hand, so if I'm gonna play it, I guess I should raise.
Yeah, I agree. And I think most people here agree you should raise here. And sizings have been coming through anywhere from 5.5, 6 to
So if
7.
I'm gonna raise, yeah, that's about the sizing that I would do, yeah, for sure.
Pot would be 5.5, which is what that player does. And then now you should what? Get folds around, I assume, Leanne, right?
Yeah,
Oh, you got a call though. Okay, so your limper calls you.
beautiful,
You get to see a flop.
beautiful. Okay, he's gonna check. Oh, no,
Oh,
he's not.
So this is an interesting spot.
It makes
would-
the hand easier to play.
Well, oh, you think it's easy? I'm thinking call.
I
Yeah.
agree. I think call is your right play here, especially with the jack plus blocker.
yeah, I like Skates in chat. Tank call.
I think, yeah,
Yeah.
SPR is important here against this broken stack, right? I mean, it's
Yes,
very
this-
easy to get this in.
This is pretty key. That broken stack.
Yeah, and he's playing kind of strongly. I mean, he could have ace, king, ace, queen, the way he's playing it, but
Yeah.
anyway, I'm calling.
Yep. And I'll think about ranges, not just, he might have ace, king, ace, queen, but he can also have a lot of other stuff too, right?
Yeah, I guess. I'm not sure why he didn't check. He's out of position and everything, but
So he docks again, or continues, I should say.
I mean, I'm just gonna keep calling.
Do
Yeah,
we
you've
start
got really
to-
good
2, 3,
blockers to
4,
slow.
ace,
to smooth
4,
play
but
here.
he doesn't have a 5. I'm calling.
Do we start to think about raising now that we're at a certain stack to pot ratio?
Well, I don't, but I guess you guys do. You really superstars. I'm
I-
worried that he might have me beat. So that I don't really well, I guess if he has me beat, he's putting in 22 on the river, and now what do I do? So based on that, I might, on the theory that if he's got me beat, I'm gonna be in a tough spot on the river anyway.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I don't think we should raise. The blockers we have are like really good for us. Now, if we had ace of hearts, jack of club, or jack of diamonds, that might make it a
Huh.
better raise, but I still like, I think I'm with you. I think I'm with just calling here.
Okay.
And they do call. And let's see what he does now.
Well, that sure is a bummer, but yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he doesn't have a 6. I'm just gonna call.
So you're calling for a chop and potentially,
Yeah, but think about the way he's been betting the whole time. Where is he coming up with a 6 all of a sudden?
yeah. Anybody else? Just pure calling here?
Yeah, I mean,
He
pot
aimed
odds get
for a
weird
chop,
when you're
but
calling for
yeah.
chop, but I just think you call.
That like yeah,
We are calling 22 to win back 22.
Yeah.
Never
It
more.
stinks
We're-
like rotten fish.
If we put
yeah.
in 22 to get out. Yeah, we put in 22 to get out. Not 44. I mean, get out 44, but lose 22. We're putting in 22 to get back 22. And yet he doesn't have a 6.
Can we, here, can we just go back to, flop and turn and look at his sizing here,
I
which
guess
I
it's
think
too
is
bad we
important.
didn't raise on the turn, but
Yeah.
I was afraid he might have me already or something, so that's why I called, but too bad I
Yeah.
didn't raise.
No, you're right. Don't be results oriented there. You're right, because we call, look what he's doing. I mean, he's just, when we raise, he folds out all of his crap that he's doing this with.
Right.
And
Yeah,
so
we're
we
pretty far
need
up in
that.
range here. I mean, also, I think a lot of times this is a fish who's overvaluing an ace 7, ace 8. So, okay, we got a B50 here, a little less of B50. B50 actually. We call, and then, so. Let's look at his turn sizing here. Okay, now he has down bet. To. A little bit
third.
more than a third. I think this is a sizing tell. I think that this is very common in fish. Where when they choose to down bet here, they're, I think, telegraphing the value of their hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe betting small with a draw that he doesn't want me to have to bet big with.
Yeah, and sometimes they're trying to set the price for the draw. That is the other thing that happens here. So,
With that
yeah,
in
I would
mind,
I
though,
think I would smooth call here
Yeah.
because it's easy to get it in, but I think he is telegraphing the value of his hand here.
it's exactly that. Is with that tell, you still get the same result, that you still get the same conclusion. It's yet another reason to call and not raise.
And how can we articulate, so our cards, the ace of clubs, jack of spades, those cards are blocking his bluffs. So he's more likely to have value when he does this than he does bluffs because of what we're holding. And so
And
when
when
that's
he,
the case,
go on.
so when that's the case, right, we don't want to jam because he's going to have value more often and not as many bluffs.
Yeah.
And when he has the high equity spade draw or club draw on the turn, we block it from getting there. So we're less worried about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got a shitty river card to.
Yeah.
I think you play it great.
I mean, I think there's a very good chance that he jams every river that isn't an 8 or a 7,
Yeah.
and we make money by just saying, check call. Not check call. Don't call, don't call, don't call.
Now here's a hypothetical. Let's just say the 5 is a 9, a kind of a blank. Okay, 9 of hearts. And he checks. Let's say he checks the river. Are we
Now I
we
would
got-
bet.
Bet
Yeah,
for
I think we
value.
get the value bet.
value bet? Yeah.
We're getting so much value from. Like, all the lesser aces.
I'm unsure though, if I really value bet the river with the 4-liner there. I mean, I don't see him checking the straight there, but I might I might give up saying that he also can't call with a four,
That's a totally valid point, that it's
With a
hard for him to
four-line.
call with worse.
yeah, I might check the four liner, being just a little too weak. Question before we go on this one, can anybody state what the Nuffle version of this hand is?
I think I can do that. I think our Mike can do that. I don't mind.
It's a short stack version of Nuffle, which I haven't gotten too familiar with.
Okay,
Now, if it
all right
was
then.
full stacks, it would be different. So,
Yeah, tell the full stack story just once, and then we'll go.
if this was a full stack and you get donked into, you're just going to call any bet. Pretty much no matter what you have with high value, any draw, and air. You're going to call that donk bet. Then on the river, depending on
Well, no, we're at the turn.
I'm
Turn
sorry,
matters.
I mean the turn.
Yeah.
Depending on the turn, it would depend on his sizing. If he continues to donk or if he checks and your value of your hand. In this case, if he donks and this would be considered medium value. Top pair, not top kicker, you would just call. And then on the river, if he continues, you would call almost any pair, assuming he bets less than, a pot size down to half pot. You would call any pair up to like third pair, something like that.
Right. Okay, cool. So Nuffle has us playing this hand the same way. That's great.
Yeah,
Yet
there are
another
some
reason.
adjustments to make when they're short stacked though.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Fish cakes. This one's you. We're kind of short-handed.
By the way, you've got a new participant, Setabs,
Said Abs is back.
and Setabs is sometimes considered the Adamo of Montreal, a superstar amongst attorneys. So, hey, it's good to see you in the cash streets, Setabs.
Yeah, but I've been out for a couple of months, been working evenings, so it was hard for me to grind. And
Welcome back.
yeah, thank you.
I've put you back in the list here, said Habs. You'll go after Scotty. And we'll describe to you or tell you what we're doing if you're not familiar with it. But this one is fish cakes.
Okay, what is? I don't know what is this.
You'll see. It's a fun game. You'll see it. It's easy. It's a good game.
Okay.
Okay, open the 8-6 suited. See if there's that, and then if I was the big blind, I would often just 3-bet this, but this guy's probably just gonna call, maybe fold.
They do call. Let's check out. Let's see just what theory says to do with queen. I think that's kind of one of those.
Raise fold. It's a
Yeah, I
it's a
think
raise fold there.
let's see the frequencies. Queen 8. Half and half.
50-50.
Yep. So yeah, that's a good 3-bet bluff there. They do call and notice the short stack or the broken stack.
Yeah. Well, interesting flop. We're gonna have a lot of checking on this flop. In theory. Do we want to bet against a recreational with 8-6? You probably could go just like a third here, probably.
Yeah, I think so. It's obviously the flop is like good for the caller, but let's see what theory wants to do here. I think you nailed it. It does want to check a lock, right?
Yeah, these lower boards generally, yeah.
6 deuce 5, 6 deuce 5. We have the 8-6 of.
Might even have like a bigger bet as the predominant one, but oh no, it's smaller. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you get to go big because there's locked up equity. And he does have a 3-4 in range.
Yeah. Yeah, just.
But I think you're right, though. I think, against pool, I think betting is better than solver will show.
Yeah, I imagine like the raising percentage versus this 33% is meant to be like 20 something. like low 20s or something crazy like that.
So hero does check, and
Yeah, it's
if you're,
fine.
if you're queen eight here, which I don't know if you were in a big blind, but if you would have queen eight, if you would call it or not. But if you
Yeah.
did, what are you doing?
You could probably. It depends on like what kind of player the small blind is. You could probably bet like this, just assume overfolds, to be honest. But I think in theory probably checking more than anything else. But yeah, I think exploitatively you might be able to just bet this and get like fold, because people fold too many of like the overcards, I'd imagine.
They do check, so you get to see a turn.
I know what the solver said there, but I think I kind of like betting that 8-6 as like a protection bet, donk betting it as a protection versus 2 overs from the big blind.
Yeah, there's a lot of like value to do that for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. In fact, I think I mentioned it too. Like we saw what solver does, but like versus the pool, somebody who has a broken stack, you're going to figure they're going to have a wider range than solver would. So betting certainly has more EV versus that pool than the solver is going to have betting it. So yeah, I think you're right on. So fish cakes, you get to the turn.
8-6 probably just checking a lot of the time here. I don't think there's much reason to bet now, unless like you wanted to carry some like 6x into your range for like blocking pocket sixes for if the river boats up, but I don't think that it is really that important. And then queen 8, I would definitely bet this now as the big blind after the small blind like checks like turn, checks twice. Like I'd probably just go like 50 to 75, something like that. Especially because we have this 8 as well, which is quite nice.
I think they should bet too. If they did bet, let's say they go with a large size 75, B75, and you're there, now you're here with 8-6.
You probably have to fold. Maybe the solver mixes, but I think you're probably actually just folding a lot of the time. Yeah. And this is why it would be nice sometimes to have like some 6x in the turn bet range, but I don't know if the solver even does that. But now maybe you can turn this into a bluff, but I don't think maybe the solver bluffs 8-6 sometimes. I'm not sure. Like goes like a 100 or something. I don't like the small bet. That just seems wrong. Yeah, I don't like the small bet at all. And if I was the big blind and I was forced to check the turn, I would raise the river because I think the like hero is probably too capped, because I think it's very difficult to bring enough value into this line and also small bet. But like I imagine the hero is betting small because they know the fish isn't going to exploit them. So
yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure why I bet there. It does seem pretty thin. So we got
you might get called, probably not.
We went check the turn. Let's just some of our theory here. King of spades. We figured the 8-6 is going to be checking mostly. It does get some
Mixes.
Yeah, nice. But they're not for the size, I thought.
Yeah, and it bets more often than I expected. And the bet size was small.
Yeah, I thought the size would be bigger to go along with so at least I thought it would just be a very small amount of like the lower 6x going along with 6s with like a medium size, but that's not the case. How much small sizes with the 6s? Like the pocket 6s?
So I was wrong about the turn.
It does have a little bit, but oh, that's interesting. I guess it is just value betting it. Crazy. Interesting.
When it
Yeah,
goes
nice.
yeah, so the big blind now, I mean, they're not gonna, oh, they do have some queen eight. It's probably
Yeah.
Yeah.
very tiny. I'm thinking this is gonna be almost, yeah, it's almost non-existent.
Yeah.
Right.
That's like an error in just sim accuracy. It's just not been around deep enough probably to like get
Yeah.
rid of all of it.
And also, I think that means that the result that what it says to do with it, is not well calculated.
It's probably like good enough. We could look at Queen 9 offsuit, which is basically the same hand here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
that
point.
it has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
the big bet.
The queen nine is much more an accurate reading, I think, of what you should do with queen eight.
Yeah. But I think I think in reality, like not against the solver, he won't have as much. He won't have as strong a range as small blind here. But you can just bet this a lot because they're going to have so much like a ace x without like a spade here and like low pairs. Like if we go back to the if we put in like a bet here, sorry, for big blind, just like pick the 75 or whatever the most common size was for, and then see how much like value they actually still like strong value they still have. Like they have so much. I guess people will have a decent amount of king x still. If you go to like the frequency, like change it so it's like the normalized frequency, because it's hard to see like how much is in of each one. Yeah, I guess people will still have some king x, but I think they'll also bet like some of the some king x more than the solver does see.
Mhm.
And I also think they'll overfold like sixes too.
Would you roll over our 8-6 suited for a second? This is our response to the first bet. So slivers of folding. I said mixing folding, but it's just slivers.
Yeah,
What was
yeah,
it?
I think that makes sense.
It was the king of diamonds, and I just want to see how bad that the little block bet was. King of diamonds.
Maybe the solver does it, but
I'm sure it's not. It can't be any good.
I'd
Versus
have
solver.
thought you'd have had just like a big size here, but there might be some
No, it likes it. It's approved.
interesting.
It's a bluff though, right?
The
Doesn't
big size is a bluff.
look like it.
The big size is a bluff, the small size is value.
Yeah, if you just go to the 33 and see what you get called by, just like bet the 33 and see what calls you, whether we can find out. If you don't know what it is, it's probably not wise to do it in practice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you get
right.
called by the ace highs
Yeah, ace
That's-
high still calling.
yeah.
You.
That's
and some
probably
queens and some queens.
probably what I was going for was some ace high hero call or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's your, so yeah, there's your some 5x, deuce x. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty thin,
Yeah.
pretty thin, pretty thin.
Right. And now go to do the big bet. And I think the big bet's a bluff. Is big bet 75? Is that what it
I
was?
think it was, yeah. Oh, it's
No,
still
no,
calling
it's not.
some-
No, it still gets called by worse.
Wow.
Does it?
It's probably like all of the ace x with a spade.
Okay.
Oh my god, it's not. That's crazy. I guess they just have so much like trash, like so many offsuit combos there on like queen jack, queen 10, jack 10.
Yeah, the blind versus blind, you get so many combos of hands, right?
Mm-hmm. Like it's not allowed to overfold this much, I don't think.
Scotty,
All right. Oh, this is good. Jack raises ace queen 3-bet sim. And when it comes back to the Jack, he should do no folding of Jack. and how much four betting this does do when it's this late. I'm gonna say that Jack doesn't four bet a lot. It might not four bet at all, but it doesn't four bet a lot. It
I think in
calls.
this tight configuration, it's
You-
gonna four bet.
In this loose
In
configuration.
this loose configuration.
Sorry,
it-
loose
that-
configuration.
That's what I was thinking, is that there might be some. That,
20,
Yeah, I think jacks are willing to get it in versus like somebody who's playing well, like who's like a solver. I think solver's gonna say
Right.
basically get it in, I think.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And given that his stack is 75, I'm more comfortable getting it in.
Now,
All right.
I don't know if you saw, it does not go this way. But let's see. So let's just say they three bet their size here, comes back to the button, and
20%.
yeah, jacks are pure four betting.
You're four betting, okay,
Pure. Oh.
all right. I'm not
Interest
making enough adjustment for position here.
tens get to jam for some reason.
And ace queen off, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Just a super loose configuration.
Yeah,
But
I'm
they-
just not
they-
respecting that enough.
Small blind calls, Scotty. Small blind, you get a call from the small blind.
All
And
right,
you
big
get,
blind should fold. And now I get to play a flop.
which that ace queen off in the small
I
blind.
like this flop. This is a good flop. Ace queen should check range here, but I don't know that he will. If he does, jacks should bet because you're going against the having of an ace. And this board is such that the board and the hand, we can bet big. We unblock the aces. He doesn't have a jack and everything else is gonna be doing a lot of folding. I don't think we're trying to get max value from pocket sixes here. So, what we need to get it all in, I think we get to bet four, and I think, do we have any overbets? Yeah, we have a little bit of overbetting, I bet, but it's gonna be a small percentage. I bet four.
Hero went
You bet
for
small.
the small bet.
Okay,
Let's see what-
now,
you want to
against the small bet, ace queen has some check raises. It's our biggest called ace. We don't have ace king here ever. So top of range. Now, is there any reason to do it? As your ace queen here?
Yeah,
I
I
mean, he
mean, yeah, you're
folds out a bunch. Right,
you're getting
No.
value from a lot of lesser ace X.
I get it value from lesser ace X, but I also get lots of folds. And you do have ace king here. And ace jack. So I think this board is, especially with my queen, I think this board is pretty static. The top, best hand now is gonna be the best hand in the river, and I have it or I don't. So I think I don't think I'm being prejudiced by the jacks. I think that solver check raises here more often than I do, that I check call here more often. Okay, check calls.
We'll check. We'll see. I don't think in theory there's going to be any ace queens on that, but we'll be able to look.
Yeah.
All right. So you
Um,
got the turn.
This
Isn't that flop hitting the buttons range better than the small blinds? Which would
Yeah, but
leave
I have, but I have
betting
this hand.
smaller.
You mean,
'Cause I
oh,
feel
you mean the button bet small that he did?
yeah, he did, but you were suggesting large, but I would have thought small also because it hits my range better.
Right, so at the point that the range has a lot of small bets is fine, but does the range have any big bets? I think with the ace and jack together, it has some big bets. My hand loves the big bet. That's my thought.
So what
But
are
yeah,
your bluffs? What bluffs are you betting big with?
I can bet big with I don't think I want to bet big with king, queen, but I could bet big with queen 10. Queen
I
10,
was thinking king 10 of hearts.
yeah, I think I think the queen 10 more than the king 10.
Like the gutter with the backdoor flush draw.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but I want the queen, but I want I want the queen because because in this case, I want a king to fold.
So I think if you, my humble suggestion is that, if
I
you're
know what
gonna
you're
look at
gonna
this,
say.
you know what I'm gonna say?
And I wanna preface this. We can call here, but what Larry was about to say is that, if we assign a true small blind range to this, we're gonna get a completely different result than if we assign a big blind range, which probably more resembles what the pool is gonna call in the small blind with. So we could look at this. Is that right, Larry? Is
Yeah.
that where you were going?
Yeah, we've been working together for a long time with these. He knew
Yeah.
exactly what I was gonna say.
So, we could give him a true small blind range or give him probably a more realistic calling range that he had here and use a big blind range, which I think we should do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Jeremiah Williams is an advocate if we're working with, pre-built solves to do this.
Ace, jack, three, ace, jack. I don't remember the suits now. So big blind, or in this case, the small blind, they check, and here we are. Look at the big bets.
This is the buttons big bets.
Yep,
Yay. And they're 125s.
they're over bets.
Good. I called the overbet, but I didn't do it.
Now, they do have the small bets as well.
Yep. Do they have any 75s or is that nonsense?
Not really.
Okay.
But I think it's,
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a
it's important.
sliver. There's a sliver. At least we don't break the solver, but yeah.
I notice also our very top of range and on a very invulnerable hand on this texture
Yeah.
is choosing small bet quite a bit.
So yeah, I just wanted to look at that. And then we'll come back to the hand here, Scotty. We'll
Mhm.
break down the flop as we did. Now ace queen off does get to raise at some frequency and or
Mhm.
call. So we had questions about that.
Yep.
All right, continue from this point on.
Okay. Now I get the 3 and he checks. I now have a very simple world, which is oh no, he bets out.
He donked.
He donked. I'm not donking as him, by the way, here.
No.
I'm absolutely check calling. And if it goes check, I then bet the river.
So here on flop, that's small, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. I can't, I mean, so this is a very interesting spot. What's our SPR? SPR is like 5. It's 5 about. It's hard for me to find a raise in position hand. Does anybody find the raise?
If we do, it's gonna be a small raise.
Yeah. I mean, it's like fish on the line, perfect spot.
Yeah, it's just gonna be so hard to get it all in though.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, we're
There's
gonna
this- this is
jam
the-
the river. We're jamming every river except an ace.
This is a very, this is the classic struggle between SPR and smooth calling here, because your hand essentially is invulnerable except for the ace, you're right, and
But at least tank before you call.
yeah. Skate, that was a masterclass.
Yeah, I'm gonna tank. So Sidabs is gonna raise, and I'm going to tank call.
Anybody else
And
raising here? Setups is, I like setups play,
I think there's merit for the reasons that we talked about, but
yeah.
I mean, calling and or raising small is, I think, both fine.
I mean, the argument here is that, we have such a good hand that if we put this in a solver, it would say, do what you want, dude. You own this hand.
Yeah. So Scotty, your hand and we call, which is what Hero does as well.
Yep, and on the river, I'm just gonna say, whatever if he bets, okay, now I just jam, and I gotta get on an airplane now. Bye, guys.
Okay.
Thanks, Scotty. Hey, Scotty, quick question.
Later.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, do you want me to get
Tomorrow-
on early?
Tomorrow, Katrina, what time do we have to be at work tomorrow? What time are we doing our first show?
We have to be there at 11.
To be there at 11. I'll open the door. I can open it up at regular time.
Okay, talk to you
And
tomorrow.
I'll do
Thanks
the,
again,
I'll do
Scotty,
the
for
first,
doing this.
I'll do the first 20 minutes with you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Okay,
Hi, Scotty.
But
And Scotty says jam, hero jams. Any objections to jamming?
I think the only answer is to jam,
Yeah.
especially against a broken stack. It's gonna call you off. Nice hand, sir.
So Habs, you are next on the list, and here's what we do. We just look at, we just go through hands, and all the cards are face up. So you get to see what all the players had, and you just go through and kind of talk your way through what kind of should happen in theory. And we can check that against the solver, and then we kind of have fun with these fish that are playing, and you wind up getting limps and you get overcalls in places you shouldn't and all that sort of stuff. So if you want, you are next, and
Oh,
this
yeah.
this will be your hand.
Oh, a little bit more player on this table. Ace threes are full, Jack seven full, 4-5's full, Ace Jack's raising, right there it's 2.5, 6-4 will be full, Ace 3 will full, 9-3 will full, 10-8 will full, Ace Queen most likely could mix up a 3-bet or call. I will tend to 3-bet myself going 12 BB.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I think.
So Ace Jack is on the spot. Like theoretically, when you're playing against in the 1-2, you have to fold your Ace Jack at this point. But now you have position. But Ace Jack is vulnerable, so maybe more. Sometimes I'm gonna tend to go for a bet right there with Ace Jack as a bluff.
Classic said Habs. Absolutely. I think you nailed it. I think Ace Queen to a low Jack raise is going to be mostly calling there, in theory, in the solver, but it probably does have a little bit of 3-betting going on. It looks like it's kind of a pure call, but certainly can't go too wrong with a little aggression, right?
Oh,
Look at what happens. They actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
I must time out or something or misclick.
Yeah,
something
could have.
like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Could have timed out or misclicked. You're right. If they did 3-bet, Ace Jack would be a pure fold in solver. Again, this is just solver. This is just theory. It doesn't mean, that you can't take other lines based on your opponents or that sort of thing, but just wanted to show you what solver.
Like I said, most of the low stake table you're gonna have to fold when somebody raise from the big blinds. Most of the time it's value, massive value.
Yeah.
Bet from the big blinds.
All right, back to the top of the list for Mike. Let's see here. So 10-7's a fold. Ace Queen would be a raise. Ace 6 suited on the button to a hijack raise. Gosh, I bet there's some 3-bets in there, but I probably would just fold it. I think.
in the small blind.
Oh, that's small blind. Yeah, that makes it even more of a fold for me. I don't think I'm 3-betting Ace 6 suited to a hijack raise. Although, oh, okay. We'll check to see what we should do to a raise. I'm pretty sure that it's just a fold, but we get a limp. But we'll take a look at what happens here. Hijack raise, assume he raises his Ace Queen like he should. Curious about the buttons. Probably got more 3-betting than the small blind. It does have 50-50, and the small blind says to just fold it. Yeah, okay. All right, good. Instinct was good there. But now we get this limp. I'm probably just going to ISO this, most likely. And I make it a 5. 8-7 suited is kind of in a cool spot because they could probably overcall this at some frequency. And if I were the 8-7 suited, I might determine if this player is really bad, I might come in. Otherwise, they probably would mostly fold it. They fold. Now the Ace Queen that limped, who knows what's going to happen, so we'll see what they do. They just call. So we get to see a flop, and as the ISO, we get a good flop for us. I am almost always going to see bet this flop, and this hand is decent, pretty decent to see bet. Can check, of course. Checking is always going to be viable out of position. Probably against pool, I'm going to be betting more often. I decide to bet. I go third. Ace queen should call, I would imagine, now that they've gotten to this point. Maybe even raises bluff, but I would just call. They do call. We get the queen of clubs. Now the ace six. Now I'm like, knowing me, I probably check here. Is that a good card for me? Probably kind of neutral. So I'm probably just checking and maybe just kind of giving up, hoping to get to showdown. And I go big. I go B75. Not sure if that's good or not, to be honest. I'm not sure where I should be there. Aggression against pool, probably okay. Ace queen calls, of course. Now we're in a pickle. We get a blank. And now that we got a blank, by God, I probably should continue. But it's really bad, I think, for me at this point. I don't know if I just give up. I do give up. And I just show down my ace six. So I don't know if that's any good.
I think it's good, once you bet flop and bet turn big, once they call, you can give up, I think.
What do you think of I think up to flop is just kind of normal, right? Anybody have any disagreements here? You can probably see bet this, probably check it. Either one's fine. I'm thinking. Anybody have strong opinions on going one way or the other?
Well, they initially limped, right? And then you ISO'd.
Yep.
You already playing the man wrong with the limping ace queen, so right there with nothing, you just call and hope. It's not like you're already on the bad line, so it's like it's useless to raise right there.
Kind of, I kind of don't like the queen there, and I mean
I think I'd have raised a little bit more on the flop. I mean pre-flop.
Oh, pre-flop, make it like 6 instead of 5.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't want, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that's, I can't argue there. I think my standard is typically 5 to a single limper or poster. And I certainly can't argue against going bigger. Here, what about here? I chose the really aggressive big bet, polarizing.
But right now, this board hits your range so much that I really like it. Even if you go over bet, I will really like it too.
So we're kind of I know targeting is that phrase, all their lower pairs that they limp call with and can call on the flop. So they're 3s through 10s. And then some maybe their ace.
Ace 7, ace 9, ace 8.
Ace 8, ace 9. Get them to fold. Maybe you could get a queen X to fold. Could we get queen X to fold here? Like if they have queen, big limp called with queen 8, queen 9. I don't know. Yeah. Does the big bet seem ambitious or is it okay?
I don't know about queen folding, but maybe jack.
Jack, right. Yeah, it's third pair. Yeah, that's more like it.
I mean, I like that we block ace 10 or whatever, but When we don't have additional equity on the turn, for example, a heart, I do not like it too much.
Okay. Larry, this is you. Oh, you get a heads up hand. Do you want to, should we go forward to a better one?
Up to you. I mean, I think probably it's a raise fold. Yeah, I want a juicier one. Okay, Hero, this is a juicy one. Hero is going to play his kings. Cut off hijack. I think king queen just mostly calls here.
I think you're right. Let's see what happens. Okay, yeah, and I think you're right about king queen versus a hijack raise is pretty high frequency calling. There may be a
It
little
mixes, I think.
of three betting, but yeah, king queen off is like a high frequency call. Oh, it's about 50-50. Okay. 50-50.
So we're gonna get some action. Not the flop we're looking for. So does OOP check here?
Well, what should he do?
Big blind should check his range on this texture.
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, they check.
So this is super dark texture. I generally am going to bet here small. And go from there. I mean, so you can go to the hungry horse argument is that we're going to bet bigger here, like a 3.5. And fold to most check raises. But I think with your hand. Against the wide range, I think I prefer bet small.
We check.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
We'll check theory, but we get to the turn.
Yeah, I think if we take the check line, king, queen should, I think he now has a marginal hand. It depends a lot on what he thinks of imposition. Is imposition properly protecting his checking range? Generally, if I was out of position here, I would check. I realize
do check.
equity. You have nice blockers to ace king. But I would check if I was out of position here.
Yep, they checked.
And so we're taking the check line, which is good. I would check back.
They do check back.
So I don't think there's any reason to turn your marginal pair into a bluff here. I think that's a little bit too aggressive. I think this should probably go check, check. So he makes this bet. This is a pretty common recreational kind of mergey bet. And King Concerto love to talk about calling this down at high frequency because it's kind of this nondescript fishy B50. And yeah, this line, I don't think it's taken with aces. With an ace X with a pair, I think you're gonna see more bets on turn with this pair of aces. You have a great blockers for the nuts, even though I don't think most people are gonna take the size with the nuts. I, of course, may be influenced by seeing the hands, but generally I think when I'm being offered these pot odds and I only have to win more than 1 out of 4 times, I'm gonna call.
Yeah, I think it's a good call. Now betting king queen for value, like as a blocker, because in position has checked twice here. Do you think that's too thin? Should always be checking, do you think, or get value from something?
10s and 7s and 8s.
Some kind of weird.
Yeah, I think that's a valid argument that you can, I would use a smaller size if I was gonna do that. So I would do like if I was gonna bet here, I would use a blocker size and I would use like a B30.
Spade, heart, diamond, ace, 9.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting hand to look at. I mean, this this is a spot that we're in all the time, right?
Yeah, and it's hijack big blind, all right? So we saw hijacks raise, we saw the big blind call with 50% frequency. Ace, 9, 6, diamond, what was it? Spade, heart, diamond. Take that. Ace of spade, 9 of hearts, 6 of diamonds. Big blind, checking range, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
check range here.
And then hijacks, pocket kings.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
And all these under pairs get checked at a pretty high frequency.
But I was thinking that once the big blind checks both flop and turn, I might bet those kings for value now at the turn.
Yeah, potentially. Let's see how that changes things, how that works here. What were we? We were a queen of clubs.
Yeah, I think Leanne has a good point. The other point about betting here on turn, from just a human perspective, is that it's gonna allow you to avoid a tough decision on river, and because oftentimes you're not gonna get dunked into on river.
You're talking about in position with the kings?
Yeah, so if it gets a passive player, if you bet on turn, you're gonna have the opportunity to check back most rivers.
Yeah. So the big blind, king, queen off here. You were right. We should just they should just be checking, right? I think you said check.
Yeah, I don't think he gets to bet this.
Yeah. Which he did. And now, so our kings, as you're saying, versus solver, it says to continue to check. However, versus pool, can we get value from other hands? Which I'm pretty sure you can, right?
Yeah, I would bet here. A little bit actually larger. I'd bet at B75. It's not a bluff. It's really, to me, buying a river. But buying a free river where I can check back. So I
Seems
would
like
use it.
betting here, you could easily get called by worse. You could get called by a queen or a 9 or pocket 10s or something.
Yeah, I agree. You can get value from a large part of the range, especially when they check out of position. So I would B75 here a lot with the intention of checking back great majority of rivers.
I see what you're saying. What happened? Did we check? We checked the kings?
I think so.
And we got a kind of a blank, or no, it was a jack of clubs, which is not necessarily a blank. That completes some stuff. The big blind's king, queen. He wound up donking.
Yeah,
And
he's not supposed to do that,
if
is
he
he?
ever gets to do that to get value from anything worse, but it turns out too thin. Nope, just too thin.
Can you filter and just, so I guess I can look at it. Well, can you filter
Yeah.
for queens or second pair? It's our second pair, right? Yeah.
Filter for second pair.
Yeah, he's just pure checking, I think. Yeah, he's just pure checking all his queens. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would, yeah, I would check and do some calling here out of position with these queens. And if I was gonna bet, I would choose to use blocker sizing.
Yeah, which he did. And we know that I think we're just calling all the time. What I think might be interesting is if he does check, what size and or should the kings bet the river?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think generally I would check. Well, in solver, I think we're probably gonna check because out of position is gonna have a properly protected checking range, and it's hard to, yeah, but. So, I mean, one thing that might be interesting to look at here, if he checks, right?
Yeah.
Like if we look at breakdown, can we see we might be able to see really clearly where our value betting threshold is? Yeah, it's pretty clear. It's pretty, this is kind of like a classic polarized bet strat where this middle part of our range is checking back. And then we can kind of see where the value threshold is, which is like, it's based on our ace kicker, it looks like. So once we get up to like ace 10, which, has a nice blocker to the straight, we begin to see a B73, but then it quickly drops down to a non-Affleck approved small bet here with our lesser aces.
Yeah.
Breaking our Affleck rule. But I think, yeah, this is a really interesting breakdown to see, because we can see how we've got a very polarized strat on this when we have this action.
And look at kings are actually kind of indifferent to calling a small bet on the river.
Yeah, interesting. I would call more against humans because I think humans are playing more face up and they're not going to have as protected a check range.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Larry, it is now Derek. Derek, this is you.
Derek in the house.
Oh yeah, okay, yep. Okay, fold, bet the ace queen. Probably, I usually bet big because they just call. So, but I think that 3-ish is probably good, fine here. Probably the 4s calls.
Come closer to your mic, Derek.
Yeah, probably the 4s calls, but I don't think it's server approved.
Oh yeah, I think
But
fours will
one
call
of the
all the
hands
time.
got a call.
Yeah, they will. They'll call. They'll pure call. All your pairs will call in the big blind to a single raise.
Yeah. No sad. What's going on here? Check.
So they check.
Hero bets his kings.
So you would see bet here.
Yep.
Okay. Hero does see bet, and you get a call. What do you think fours should do?
Call.
Yep, I think fours are going to
100%
call.
flat call.
I think theory will say that to always call pretty much any combination of fours you have there. I think. Fours check, I assume.
Yep. Check, bet, fold.
So now you're betting. You're continuing to bet here.
Yeah.
Okay. I probably checked. I did check.
Oh, okay.
Now you got to the river. It went check, check.
Probably check here with the 4s.
They do check.
I'd probably bet here.
Used a B60.
Yep. Server says always bet at least half pot on the river because the cost of reopening is at least half.
How about fours? What are you doing with fours?
I fold here 100%. Oh, he called. Okay.
They looked us up. They looked us up. This one had, I think, a couple of streets that were kind of interesting. The C bet seems kind of almost standard. Right? And anybody have, I mean, I'm sure you can check this, but C betting from an early position like this on a king high board is going to be pretty high frequency C bet.
Yep.
My thought was that fours should call here to the small bet.
Yeah, I see a lot of C bet. It's probably pretty high.
Anybody else have any arguments one way or the other here? Where were we? We were low jack +2 under the gun +1. So this position here, just to show you the big blind, all those pocket pairs are calling in there. And we got the king 5-3, king 5-3, club diamond heart, king 5-3, club diamond heart. Big blind checking range, or does the 5-3 give us anything? No. Under the gun with a, we're actually still checking 55% of the time. Ace queen has about 50-ish C betting, which we chose.
Yep.
And now the pocket fours to this early position. Oh yeah, so it's pure continuing, and there's even some raising happening there. Look at that.
Oh, it's pure continuing?
Yeah, and it's about 50-50 on whether you should raise it and raise it pretty darn big.
I like
But
to see that. Yeah, that looks good.
they did call, and we got the Queen of Spades. So hero improved. And big blind with his fours are going to check, which they did. So here's where you wanted to value bet. Does ace queen? Oh, ace queen loves to value bet now. I thought they would be checking more, but it likes this.
Well, I thought they'd be checking more too, because once they got called on the flop, he could have a king potentially. Anyway, ace queen is a nice marginal made hand, I thought, but
Yeah, I had that same line of thought, Leanne. Anybody have any insight?
No, I have no insight. I just think that that's right on the money.
You
Yeah.
nailed it, Derek. It wants to bet, and you said to bet.
Yep.
Okay, so we wound up checking, and then we got a, what did we get? We got a,
interesting, you notice that the ace queen suiteds aren't there anymore. They must have bet on the flop, I guess.
That's true.
so here, yeah, no ace queen suited. What happened here? Let's see, where did your ace queen suiteds go? They were all betting pure on the flop. Is that right? Oh, they all checked.
Oh, and we bet.
Yeah, and we wanted to.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
bet. Okay, yeah.
So we got to the river. We paired the 5, the big blind with his fours does check. And now our ace queen does it. It still likes to value bet now that we got to this point without betting the turn. It likes to value bet B60, which we did. And the fours looked us up. I'll bet there's just very little, there's a little calling there. Indifferent. So, all right. You did better than I did, Derek. You bet the turn.
Well, I don't think it's a three. Like your choices with a hand like this is think you got a one. Is it a 1 street bet, a 2 street bet, a 3 street bet hand? So you have a choice of either betting the turn or the river, I guess, but not both.
Oh, right. So let's check out, let's see what happens if we do bet here. And it liked what size did it like? It liked a kind of a 50 or 30, mostly 50. So let's give it a 50. And let's assume they call, which they shouldn't. And we get that 5 of spades. And now they don't have fours anymore. So let's just assume they are going to check. They check range anyway. And yeah, you're right. Then we just check our ace queen now.
Yeah, so it's one or the other.
Yep. Yeah, good call. Good. Well played. Skate, you're up. Skate, you with us?
Yeah, hello, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, there we go. All right, let's open tens, definitely. Fold around to. I wonder what the queen jack does. Oh, yeah, against early, yeah, fold queen jack. Fold around to king deuce, which should fold king deuce suited. I don't know. Maybe fold in the big blind, depending on the size.
I think so. Let's see. We'll take a look. I'm pretty sure pretty sure you nailed this one. The queen jack suited is probably too early to the tens. It should probably fold now. I think we're probably going to see something different. There are broken stack. So they do call, but I think you're right. I think queen jack suited should be a fold there. And then now king deuce suited should definitely be a fold in theory.
That
And
queen
we do
jack
fold.
suited could be a fold or a raise, I think, maybe even. But I think a call is the worst idea.
Yeah, I think you're right, except that to an early position like that, I don't think it's even gonna like a 3-bet, although it would probably be fine against a lot of, against pool, you're making an error on the side of aggression, which some people argue that that's not really all that bad. What position was this? This was low jack, so they are in hijack. But I'm pretty sure queen jack to an early position raise like that the queen jack is just a little bit outside. Yeah. So it's not quite there. Having the broken stack probably makes this even worse, I would imagine. And then king deuce suited, if it got all the way to the big blind to an early position raise, king deuce suited is a fold. So it's definitely a fold when you get a call in between. It's definitely a fold. So, Skate, you get to see a flop multi-way. Oh, no, sorry, it's heads up. You did get heads up with the broken stack.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's only one overcard. I mean, I would like that we had a diamond, but we don't. You know, it's just one overcard. Let's continue betting.
Okay. I think you can definitely see bet here. You're out of position, so you're definitely going to have a lot of checking happening. A king high board is always good for that in that initial raiser, right? What does hero do? Hero decides to check, but I think you're okay to see bet that board. It's probably going to check more often than we think. And against pool, I think betting is better than solver would tend to make it versus a wider range. Now versus a short stack like this, does it make it better or worse? I don't know. But here you go. Now you're queen jack and you've gotten a check. What are you doing with queen jack?
Yeah, I can see us checking in there. So here with the queen jack, you know, we don't have much going on here. I'm checking back.
They do check. And we get to see
No,
a
I mean, you
turn.
got the backdoor flush, backdoor straight. I don't know, I might have tried for a bet bluff there, but
Okay, I actually didn't see that the back door, flush and backdoor straight, which you know never comes, but yeah,
Mhm.
that's true. Never comes for me, that's for sure.
yeah, yep.
All right, Skate, you got to see a turn.
Turn. All right, let's. Now that we check the flop and nobody bet, let's throw out a little probe there. Not probe, but you know, let's
The late C bet.
the late C, but yeah.
Yeah, I think there's definitely merit for betting here because you can get value from a lot of hands that checked that flop. What does hero do? Hero decides to check again. Queen jack. You want to start bluffing? Do you want to take it to showdown?
I think that our hand is. Okay, that's not me. Yeah, maybe our hand is. I mean, it sucks that the turn is not a club, but since our opponent decided to check twice, we should have. You know, I don't see them having a king a large portion of the time, or maybe at all. So yeah, I don't mind with queen high doing a bluff there. Somebody has their mic on or something's going on there.
Hey, Scotty, I just muted you, FYI.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Hey, Scotty. Welcome back.
So they did bet. Now that you got bet into with your tens,
I'm just gonna call, it's small enough to call. Yeah, I want to see his cards on the
Okay.
river.
All right. So we did call, and now we get to see a river. You're sitting here with pocket tens.
Yep, I'm gonna tank. I'm gonna do a slight tank and then check.
Okay. Tank check. Now what are you doing with your queen jack?
I think we told a story on the turn, and we have to continue our story. We have to continue doing what we said we were gonna do. If not, then, what are we? So we continue, and they bet pot. I like it. I like either pot or maybe a little bit slightly over pot and over bet with our little broken stack there, but
Now it's on you with the tens again.
yeah, with tens, I would think, without seeing the hand, seeing the cards as they are here, that we need to fold the river.
Scotty is making an argument to call because diamond's busted. I
True.
would say, just in my opinion, I don't know what I do here. I probably am over folding to river pot size bets from players that, this player in particular has been really tight, been really, really tight. I'm guessing I fold, but I'm not sure. I don't know if calling would be good here or not. I do call. Wow. Okay. So, we made the call. Any other thoughts?
No, that's a good point, that the missed flush draw can give you some merit to call.
Yeah. Okay. Next hand. If nobody else has anything there. Fish cakes has got Scotty. Scotty, are you able to? Oh no, wait, sorry, Leon. Leon, you're up.
Yeah, okay, fold, ace, king raises it to 2 or 2.5. And then fold, 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 fold. Then the nines, are they just gonna call, or I guess they're just gonna call?
What should they do? What is solver gonna say to do?
I think it's gonna say to call, but the fact that you're questioning me makes me think that it might raise, but I think it should call.
I think Scotty's right in chat. He says folding. I think it's gonna fold like 85%, maybe even 90% of the time, is my guess. I could be off, but it's definitely gonna do a lot of folding. And there might be a little sliver of three betting, but probably
That's
not.
interesting, so that's thinking that big blind is gonna squeeze a lot?
I think it's also taking into consideration the early position raise and their range and how nines stack up against that.
Right, but what I'm thinking is set mining against that.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely an argument for set mining against weaker players that will stack off when you flop your set and they have aces and kings. Definitely an argument there. They do call, but just let's take a look. Let's see what it does say. And it's certainly probably not bad against the population. Where did that ace king come from? That came from low jack +1. So it came from here. Small blind. It's got half calls. It's calling more than I thought. But
That's interesting. That's interesting. I think I'd have called with eights too, but I guess not.
Yeah, from eights down, you can see that it's like just really just doesn't like it that much. But nines start to get in there more. Tens. So that was a.
But it's interesting because even with the nines, I'm really set mining. I'm not actually thinking that somehow just a pair of nines is going to be good.
Yeah, and you're right. And but there are times it's a non-zero chance that when you could get to showdown and show down a pair of nines and still win.
Right.
There is definitely some equity in that. So we get to see a flop here.
Oh my
And you got
goodness.
nines
Yeah, I'm checking that one.
checking range, right? So they checked.
Wouldn't it be awesome if he just checks?
He did. He checked. Nines checked.
No, I mean, I'm talking about the ace king.
Oh,
Oh, I see. I'm supposed to tell you what I would do. No, I wouldn't check. I'd bet.
yeah. What size?
Kind of smallish, maybe 2.5.
Okay. Yeah, I'm betting theory says to go small here on a very, very high frequency.
Right.
All right, now what are nines doing?
I'm gonna have to fold.
They do call,
Okay.
which I think is gonna have calls here because you do still kind of interact with the jack and the seven, even the king. But I think it's probably indifferent, pretty close to being indifferent. But I bet there's some calls. So they call.
I'm checking with those nines. And I'm betting with the ace king again.
Size.
Nothing has really gotten more interesting on the board except for two clubs. So maybe I'm not sure. I know what I'm supposed to do on the flop. I'm supposed to bet small. I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to do on the turn. Maybe half pot.
Okay.
Question
I'm
for the group here.
I'm
Oh, sorry,
thinking
go ahead.
that the options, once you get here, I think the options for your ace king here are gonna go, I think you can overbet. I think you can bet big. I think it wants to bet big mostly, but it probably has all the options with preferring a large size is what I think is what it likes.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same. I was gonna say that we get overbets here because there's so many king X that big blind has that are gonna call you. So he's gonna call you with like just worse kickers.
Okay.
And a small blind range, if we kind of gave them a true small blind range, I think there's a lot of gut shots that you're gonna kind of deny equity from. Like a small blind range might drive your bet size, your large bet size frequency down a little bit, whereas if it was a big blind range, might make the frequency for over betting more is my thought, but I don't know.
Hmm.
But so yeah, you were right. You said go
Okay.
something and they do bet in the nines.
Well, I was betting a little bit smaller, I guess, than what they think that I should be betting, but
Yeah.
I wasn't quite sure what I'm supposed to do on the turn, to be honest. I felt more confident on the flop about what my bet sizing was, but what does the solver say there?
Yeah, we're gonna look because this is a good one to see. Where are we? We are low jack +1 and the small blind. Should we do small blind range here, Larry? Do you think?
I predict on
know.
the flop, I predict on the flop, the solver will have some 2/3 along with the 1/3 bet. And on the turn, it'll be everything from 50% up, but not but mostly 75% in favor. That's my prediction.
Okay,
And club heart. All right, small blind as we all kind of already know, or he's gonna check range. All right. Here's your flop frequencies. Likes the smaller sizing with some half pot size coming, have some half pot sizes in there. Notice the amount of checking that ace king wants to do, which we saw that before. It just wants to, protect that range. But we chose the small size. And the
that's
nine,
interesting. I do usually pick something to protect my range with. it might be even aces or something and bet some of those kings, the ace, king and king, queen,
Yeah.
but.
And you can certainly do that thing we discussed before, which is bet all your ace kings, but check all your king tens.
Yeah,
And that's a fine solution too.
Nines are just indifferent, or like shook AF. But there is some calling there, which they do call. I thought
interesting, it does have 50% calling. Huh,
yeah. I was thinking it would have more calling, but it does not have that much calling.
you were saying you thought that it coordinated well with that jack and that 7, but I wasn't real happy with the way it coordinated, to be honest.
No, I just thought that it still has some connection to it, so I thought it would call more often than it does. But yeah, I was wrong.
Well,
What about like a B75? Is it a pure fold then? On flop?
Versus a B75, I'm thinking that it, yeah, just becomes just a pure fold.
No, we don't get big bets. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, pure fold.
Okay, thanks.
Even tens. Look at queens. Queens are
Sure.
not loving life there.
yeah,
Was the three of, what was it? Three of clubs. So small blind checks their nines, of course. And now here's where we were wondering about bet sizes. So we start to see the 75% come in. There's just a little bit of overbetting, not as much as we thought. Now, if this was a big blind range, I think that changes drastically.
well, am I not reading this right? It looks like those ace, kings, there's a bunch of checking,
Yeah, there's quite a bit of checking there.
huh?
There is an obscene amount of checking there, especially with the one that doesn't block a club, with the ace of spades, queen, king of hearts.
Hey Scotty, I'm gonna go over that lineup.
Okay.
They're boarding now.
Okay.
So,
I'll meet you there in a
yeah,
couple minutes.
we are boarding now.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of
Seems
surprising.
weird to me. Why are we just protecting our checking range or what? I don't.
Well, one way to look at it is to, look at our equity. Like what is ace king's equity here? So if you go to, yeah. And then it's 79, so it's definitely in the other thing I might do here, if you wanted to, Mike, is I would highlight it, like click on it now. And then go to breakdown and see where it falls in breakdown. This works sometimes, but yeah, we can see where it is. It's like right in this region. You know, Leanne, when I look at this, my argument is that we are protecting our checking range here. Because if you look at where our value threshold for betting is, it's probably, you know, a little bit below this, like it's 70%. And so the great majority of hands that it perceives as having this level of equity, around 80, it is betting. But this one, it is choosing to check, so I think it is protecting our checking range. Anybody else have any other thoughts here?
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think it also is it's a highly dependent or determinant on the small blinds range. They just don't have calling ranges in the small blind. So it's, you know, the hands that it's kind of selecting from they don't have very many combos.
Yeah, it's 0.5% of hands. It's like 5 combos.
Yeah. And
So the result is the solves get very strange.
Hmm.
where's this at?
I find it very surprising, though, that we are willing to check the one combo the most that gives them a club draw. And don't we want to bet into their club draw the most? I guess maybe we want to keep the pot small against their club draw because we can't fold the river. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
I just get really sus about,
Yeah.
frankly, I get sus about, SRPs that involve the.
Yeah. But I would rather,
Because it's just such a
but I would-
tight condensed range.
I would rather get value from their flush draw
Yeah.
turn rather than keep the pot small for when they get there and allow, and set them up to bluff their busted clubs on the river and hope that they do. I think value from them on the turn is in general more, in reality, gets you more money, but I could be wrong. And that could be limit poker talking.
Can we, let's, so we saw this. I would like to see how this changes versus a big blind range.
Yeah, that would be interesting. And focus it on the ace king here. That would be
Yeah.
interesting.
We're checking the king, queen too, so we're not really betting until it's king 10. Well, king jack, obviously, but king 10.
I'd like to keep this up here, so I'm gonna do this, right? Let's. So I can go back to that, but let's fold the big, small blind, call in the big blind. And then get the same flop of king of diamonds, jack of clubs, 7 of hearts. And we're gonna see, I think, the same check range from the big blind. We're gonna see probably, now it becomes more of a range bet for us. There's much less checking, almost no checking at all. And the sizing is a little bigger.
What did you change here to make this happen?
So now what we're looking at is versus a big blind range instead of a small blind range.
Okay.
Okay. So they called their nines, which look, is this right? Pure folding nines?
Interesting.
I guess that this early position, it's not even all that early. It's low jack, one position past the low jack. So now it's pure folding the nines.
It may just, I mean, my initial thought is that, because of the condensed range of small blind, in solve, there's greater checks in position on turn, which would allow nines to realize more equity, as opposed to the big blind where he's going to polarize at a higher frequency. It's my only thought.
Okay.
I'm postulating here. Big time.
So now this blank 3 of clubs comes along. They're just gonna check their range, whatever they had. And yeah, so see the difference now,
Yeah.
it's all the overbets are in here now, and ace king doesn't check nearly as much.
Yeah, so that is, I think, what's driving what you see, the greater,
Yay.
the
Hmm.
greater calls with nines against the small blind is that in that configuration, small blind against imposition, there's just more checks from imposition on turn, which allows you to realize your equity more with nines, which means you call more. On flop.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's so it's an interesting dive into the difference in the small blind versus big blind range. And like I
Yeah.
know, like when I study, and we've talked about this on these calls, like a lot of times I think you're gonna see when people call in the small blind, they're players that are calling what's more typical, what's more like a big blind range. So instead of going into the solver and being like, oh, he called from the small blind, so I'm gonna use the small blind range. I think it's pretty valuable to, see what theory says versus a big blind range, even though they're in the small blind.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I showed that solve at the beginning of the stream. Where we saw cutoff versus button SRP, it's a pure range check on that texture. However, if we give, in this particular case, like I said, these very different ranges, which we think these humans are using, all of a sudden we go from pure check to pure bet almost.
Yeah. Scotty, you're up if you're able.
I am able, my flight has been delayed. All right, here we go. Nines, first of all, nines can open. Now let's see if, how much they have to in theory. One, two, three, four, five. Okay, so we're super early. In this position, nines are actually raising, not pure. This is gonna be about 75% with the nines. Now, given that and the dead money, and I have to go bigger, this is gonna make me want it more because of the dead. Maybe it should make me want it less because I have to raise to 4.5 and nines are probably not a 4.5 open since they mix at 2.5. But I'm gonna do it wrong. And I'm interested, somebody take a look at what the 4 open is. It's not exactly comparable, but I'm interested in how that goes. But I'm gonna open to 4.5. I'm gonna get a fold. Ace 10 should fold to this early position. Pure. This should be 100% fold. I don't expect ace 10 to fold here. So 3.5, smaller than theory says, but still effective. 8-9, this is a bad idea.
Interesting.
And this is an extra bad, the 8-9 is an extra bad idea because it's not a good idea against a 2.5 raise, and against a 3.5, it's even worse. Okay, so the king 8 decides to do something really, really stupid. But he is buying himself a check to him on the flop. So he is buying a free card to get himself to the turn if he wants it. But that's not what he's doing. He's raising because he wants to, but not big enough because his hand is bad. The ace 10 is extra terrible. But the nines should not jump on this terribleness and jam. That they have you have no reason to think that you are that far ahead right now. And so the nines should absolutely not fold. They should call. Now the 8-9 suited, I think, should make what was a mistake before into a good choice and call. And we should go
Can
forward
I,
the flop.
Sorry, Scotty.
Go.
Were you done?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I'm curious if anybody here is interested in expanding their 4-bet range. I don't necessarily think nines are in it, but I think that we're the only uncapped range in this hand right now. Well, yeah, we are, because this broken stack, 6 big blind, 3 big blind, 3-bet. Really,
I don't
is
think that
not-
makes him capped. I don't think that makes him capped. I get scared that is sometimes the aces.
Yeah,
The
but you
king's
know,
getting more money and keep a
I think
fold
you have a
out.
good point, but I'm trying to think that I've never seen this kind of 3-bet in our cards up, be aces or be kings. I've yet to see that trap come to fruition. But you're right. I think that is sometimes a trap. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I'm just curious how we expand our 4-bet range here. We're going to have a 4-bet range here. I'm just curious if we expand it, if we contract it, or if we use the same. I would argue that we do expand here.
Most of the time, you try to be more linear with a 4-bet range that is multi-way. If you wear heads up, you will go more polarized with your 4-bet range.
You're right. So the other advantage of 4-betting here is that we're going to deny equity and increase our equity. Right now we're going to be set mining. It's going to be very hard for us to realize equity. But, I think there's a room for expansion. Again, I don't know if,
But
maybe one thing to look at, it's up to you, Mike, but maybe one thing to look at here is like, we can like look at what a 4-bet range would be against like a regular 3-bet in late position versus our RFI and see what that is, and then see how we expand it. But I would expand my 4-bet range here. I would include now things like ace queen suited. I would include things like jacks. I would include stuff like queens. Queens never supposed to, always a 3-bet here, but I will always a call. But I would expand queens. I would expand like ace queen off. I would expand ace 5 suited. I would have expansions here, not only because I think, well, we've got definitely 2 capped ranges here. But because I want to shed equity, I want to deny equity in this 4-way pot.
Yeah, I feel like I kind of remember this, but I'm not sure. So this, obvious terrible sizing, this broken stack. I don't know if there was anything else about this player. We have 45 hands on him. Seems reasonable numbers, but both of these things just kind of scream, what the fuck, like WTF. I'm gonna click forward one here because I think I do what I think I do. Oh, I thought I jammed. I thought I jammed, which would be a huge expansion of that 4-bet that you were talking about, Larry.
Yeah.
And I was just taking these two capped ranges who I'll gladly take my 9s against their range. And obviously this is the only player that I'm worried about. And because it's a broken stack and just a dumb raise, that I thought I'd be able to have enough with the dead money in to be able to go up against his range of what he's doing this with. I thought I was going to jam here, but that must be misremembering. But I wound up calling.
So I want to talk about a jam here for a second. If you decide that you want to take the jam line, does it make any sense for that jam to be to about 30 big blinds as opposed to 100? So basically you're jamming the king 8 and you're threatening the 8-9 and the ace 10, but you're not jamming into them if the ace 10 is
One
super
thing-
strong.
One thing that Sutton has mentioned doing here is putting the short stack in. So going to 40.
Exactly.
Well, that's
Yeah.
kind of stupid. 40's like your pot committed.
Well, I'm saying, but 30 is the non-union equivalent of 40
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
He then
Yeah, so
jams
it-
and you call him. But if the other two jam over you,
Well, yeah, that gets
do
ugly.
you fold? Do you fold 9s there? And I think if you're taking that strategy, you're doing it in order to fold to the 8-9 or the ace 10.
Yeah, agreed. I think the size I would use here is like, yeah, you're right. I think you mentioned 30. It's gotta be 30 with this many players in. It's gotta be close to 30, 28, 27.
Yeah.
And, I don't think 9s are in there necessarily, but I think, yeah, 27 to 30.
Right. And then on your general question that you typed in the chat, am I on team expand? No, because I don't trust my read of what the 6 big blinds mean, and I don't trust my read of what the big blind calling a raise, a raise, a call, and then a 3-bet with my range still uncapped is.
Do you
I
have,
mean, the reads
just
are
like,
great. These are shit cards, but I just
Yeah.
don't trust them.
would you then have what kind of would be a conventional 4-bet range here versus a single
I have
3-bet?
a conventional 4-bet range with fewer bluffs
Okay,
because of the number of players that I have to be bluffing against.
I think we're gonna put
I
you
don't
on
know if
team
that's right,
contract.
but that's what I'm doing. I'm on
I
team
think-
contract, yes.
And I respect team contract. I have no issues with team contract.
Yeah.
Set abs though, he's a maniac.
Yeah, not maybe.
What are
not
you
a-
doing here, set abs? You gotta ask the maniac.
Oh yeah, but
Labs open to 4.5, not 3.5.
Are you talking when ace 10 or king 8 shouldn't be there? 8 and 9, it's a really loose call. And 9s, it's okay play, but when you're ace 10, it's not strong enough. Oh, excuse me. It's not a strong enough hand to be there. And even ace 10 is just calling ace 10 is a bad play. I think if you go there bluffs, but I will choose a better hand like this in the tree because the heroes 9 is on cap range and P2 is on cap range too. So
So we agree with everything you've said, but the question is, you're a hero in 9-9. You see this too small 3-bet and the cold call of the 3-bet. What do you want to do? Call, raise, or fold your 9s?
or
As
I
played.
could raise to 25 as a bluff.
Nope. Team expand.
Team Adamo, team
All right.
Adamo of Montreal. Yeah, so I'm expanding, but I think this is a fine set, man.
And Mike is clearly on team contract. We know that. Okay. Hero checks. P9 checks. king eight can do whatever he wants based on his own play. Oh, and ace ten checked. So it's a very good check around to there. Everybody checks. Great. The queen. Wonderful. Ace ten should not turn the ace into a bluff. The ace is now a marginally made hand. So he should
Yeah,
check.
agreed.
Once he checks, Hero can bet his nines because tens and jacks can't raise him. And a queen and a seven have bet already from the other two. But he chooses to check. 8-9 should not bluff, and king eight can bluff. But 8-9 bluffs.
8-9, who wants it?
Right.
8-9's like, I have no equity, I want it.
Ace 10 should not hero with an ace because he's not closing the action. And hero should cry.
Hero,
And
did you shed a
say-
tear at this point?
Yeah. And so you look at your thing and saying, can he believably have a 7? Yes, he could have checked a 7. He could have checked a 7 in the first round. Could he conceivably have a queen? Yes. Both of those are possible. And he did it into 3 players. I think he wins the hand.
Yeah, he had the balls to go for it.
Yep.
All right, we're good.
Yep.
One last hand for said halves, and we've gone through everybody, and we're about at our time limit here.
Sounds good. Set abs, they
Let's
saved the
go.
best for last, clearly.
Yeah,
Mike knows what he's
I-
doing.
I think it's a full until queen 10. Ace 9 is borderline. I think ace 9 is an open right there. I think ace 9 raise. If ace 9 raising, queen 10 is out of there. But he's gonna call most pair and he's gonna call this one. But he should be out of there when ace 9 raise. Jack 6, 4 9s are out of there. And then now ace 10 is gonna raise a 3-bet small blinds. Big blinds most likely when 4-bet. But it's a lot play. And queen 10 should be out of there. And ace 10 and the small blind should fold on the big blind 4-bet.
This is a classic said halves hand right here. Ace 9 suited or ace 9 offsuit is a fold in the low jack there, which they did correctly. So queen 10, I think you said halves should be a raise. I think you said, right?
Yeah, raise.
Oh, but they
No,
limp.
not a limp.
They're gonna throw a wrench into everything, so they limp, but you're right, it should be a raise. All right, so here we go. Small blind with ace 10 to a limp.
You should still the ISO right there, even if he's out of position after the flop. Something like 6 big.
Yeah, I'm with you. I would ISO myself. They do ISO, and now the big blind has ace 10 offsuit.
Has to raise I will raise something like 15. Even a bit more, like 17.
That's right, set abs. I'm here for the set ab show.
Yeah. Anybody else? What should we do with ace 10? Is it everybody going to?
So this is an interesting
I
spot
already
because
folded
you
it.
get to play in position to the ISOer, which I think is gonna give you an advantage. I think we can argue that a flat is loose here. However, I am gonna flat here sometimes depending on villain, knowing that I'm playing in position.
I'm
In position to ISOer.
I'm on team 3-bet. Scotty's on team fold. Larry's on team call.
Better
Anybody
to raise right
else?
there.
I think I 3-bet. I don't know. I assume I do. I would, if I was playing right now, I would 3-bet. And I did, but look how small I went.
Yeah, I think it's too low. 15
Did you like, did you, mentally switch this into more of a 4-bet than a 3-bet? Because it was the fourth? Is that how you thought of it?
I don't remember. I honestly have no idea.
but it will be logical.
But yeah, you mean, you didn't even go 3x, which you
Yeah.
would with it. If it had just been a big blind open, I mean, a small blind open, you would have 3x'd him,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't have been to 5.
Exactly. So the bigger raise allows us, I guess we don't have to. I've been seeing a lot of strategy out there that we don't need to go really, really big oftentimes because of the already oversized open. Like, for example, when we see
Yeah,
a 4x open here in these theories or in these spots, these 4x opens, they're looking for 10x 3-bets.
yeah, it reduces the requirement of the imposition 3-bet.
So
Yeah.
I think I've been implementing that sort of theory into these larger opens. This might have been the case. I don't know, but
I think that's fine.
I was thinking 17 would probably have been my standard a month ago.
I'm coming back, so maybe I will make some mistake for sure. And now he has to 4-bet, going 30. Oh, 28.
I am a big fan of Heroes play here. Well played, Mike.
Thanks, Larry.
I'm not finding this, and this is you're in a very good spot to steal this pot, I guess, in retrospect, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we've got a limp, we've got an ISO, and now you get to play in position to big blind. Your, your 3-bet or cold 4, whatever you want to make it. Whatever you want to call it. Is gonna take it down pre a lot. Yeah, yeah, this is a good play. I'm gonna implement this.
All right.
By the way, I sent you a Discord message about exactly a spot like this, asking you what size you use.
Who, me?
Yeah, go look at your Discord messages.
All right, I will.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. I mean, I know, and you know, this is not the easiest thing to do for 3 hours, and I really appreciate you driving today. Thank you.
Yeah, I love this.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey, welcome
Thanks, Mike.
back, Dabs.
Yeah, welcome back to, hey, Setups, come back tomorrow for more.
Tomorrow, what hour?
Well, in New York, it's 12:15. So I don't know what, is Montreal Eastern?
Yeah, it's Eastern, so 12:50 at the same hour. In fact,
Same time, 12:15 PM, New York City time. Tomorrow,
perfect. I'm gonna be there.
every Monday and Tuesday, as Scotty mentions.
Gonna
Be
be
there.
there, ready to regrind the cash games.
Yeah.
Looking forward
See you
for it.
later.
All right, thanks, Leanne. Let's come back tomorrow, please.
Bye, Leanne.
More the merrier.
Okay.
Bye, everyone. Take care.
All
Bye,
right,
everybody.
see you guys. Thanks again, Mike.
Bye-bye.
All right,
All
bye-bye.
right. See you tomorrow.
Oh my goodness, I'm the boss. I gotta stop this.